All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mindgasms. Gonna do another political and news chat today with Tubin AKA Chris Rocked and Dusty AKA Woke Centrist AKA Pimp Slap Centrist AKA Dustin Cubit. And I am Andrew AKA Slutty Mindgasms for the purposes of this chat. And we're going to talk about this just recent news that happened with Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. And we're going to talk about also the recent New York Times story confirming that the Hunter Biden laptop information was censored on Twitter during the 2020 election, and also Sean Hannity and Tulsi Gabbard sparring with each other over the war in Russia and Ukraine. And to start off, like you suggested, I'm going to screen share that uncensored video that you sent me, Chris, about Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, and we will comment on that. So let me see here. Okay. You guys can see that?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Will Smith. Oh, wow. Wow. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
ウィル・スミスにやられました。
Wow,
shit.
dude. It was a G.I. Jane joke.
G.I. Jane のジョークだったんです。
I'm going to.
Holy
okay?
fuck.
Okay. That was a.
Why was there a Japanese translation of what they were saying?
この場
Yeah,
面で
this
しょう
is
か。
like some Asian translation. Or
So we are
something.
here to give a documentary out, to give an Oscar out.
I think
Wow.
the country that it was uncensored in is maybe Asian. That's why you hear the translation in there.
Yeah, because
Okay.
it was Japanese.
Wow. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for telling us about that, Chris. Wow, that's that's crazy. Did you is that other clip what was the joke that he made? Is that other clip that you sent me the one that has the joke that he made, Dusty?
Yeah, the one I sent has the joke and Will Smith's initial reaction in which he was laughing at the joke.
Okay. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, go ahead and play that one too.
Yeah, I'm
Not
gonna
that
play that
anybody-
one too.
I mean, by the time like tomorrow comes, everybody on the planet will have seen this clip a million times, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was very surprised.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I've never seen him that angry before either. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I will screen share this one, which is the initial joke.
G.I. Jane too. It wasn't that bad of a joke.
You know who's got
No,
the
I didn't think so either.
right? Javier Bardem and his wife are both nominated. Now, if she loses, he can't win. He is praying that Will Smith wins. Like, please, Lord. Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right?
See Will Smith's laughing.
Oh, she didn't like that.
That was a nice one. Okay. I'm out here. Richard.
Oh, there he goes. Holy shit.
Wow. Will Smith
Slapped the shit out of me.
Yeah, they cut the audio for that.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Like, good for Chris Rock for keep like. If you watch about 5 or 10 minutes after that, you could tell he's like totally kind of like, yeah, like he got hit by a car or something like that. He's like in a daze, state. But good for him for like keeping his composure and just trying to continue on with what the nomination was for that category that he was up for in the first place. The other thing
Yeah,
that's
that
interesting too is like it's not like he started off in the jokes. First starts off with Javier Baez and what's that
Bardem.
girl's name? What's his
I don't
wife's
know
name?
the other girls. I'm gonna look that. I'm gonna look that
Penelope
up.
Cruz, I think.
Yeah, it's Penelope Cruz and Javier Baez.
Right.
So he starts off by like the context of the joke starts with a wife and husband kind of, back and forth because he says that he wants Will Smith to win that category because they're both nominated in the same category, right?
Right.
So then he flips to Jada and Will, also in the same context of husband and wife joke, but for some reason, yeah, that just, I don't know. For me, I was just like, I didn't expect that reaction at all, especially from a guy like Will Smith.
Yeah, that does seem like a mild joke, but I mean, you were saying, was it before you were starting? We were starting that you said, Dusty, that she has alopecia.
Yeah, that's what she says she has. So
Okay.
but you could definitely see that she shaves her head. I don't know how bad the alopecia is, but that's what she says she has,
Okay.
which is a medical condition where you lose your hair.
Yeah.
But he wasn't, I don't know.
That's weird because I'm just thinking of when men lose their hair, it's not a medical condition. It's just men lose their hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can make fun of that till the cows come home.
Yeah, exactly.
But medical condition. Well, I don't know. To me, anytime you present yourself in front of a comedian, there's always a chance that you're going to be made fun of.
Yeah.
Like anyone that's been to a comedy show should know that. That's just what happens at comedy shows.
Yeah.
But
yeah, of course.
I don't know. I definitely think that the slap was uncalled for. Maybe he was trying to make up. Like, here's the scenario I have in my head. He was laughing at the joke, and in order to save face with his wife, he did that.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
Because I don't even think he was actually mad at that. Like, if she had a normal reaction to the joke, Will Smith would have had a normal reaction to the joke.
Yeah, probably.
I agree with that too. I also think there's a small element of we live in the world of social media, and I think that like Oscar clips, like especially with Ricky Gervais and crazy things happening at the Oscar, these clips go viral, right? So if that joke was to be like the clip that went viral at the end of the night and it was about his wife, I think that in Will Smith's eyes, he wanted to put a stop to that right then and there.
Well,
right?
He just made it go even more viral.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where that's where I don't think he was thinking. Like he was definitely, this was an emotional reaction, right? He was he was going off his wife. Plus he's like super emotional because he's in the game for possibly winning Best Actor and I think he was nominated for something else, right? So he's gonna potentially get some Oscars tonight as well. So you're just like, he's probably high in adrenaline and mixed emotions, and I don't know.
Yeah.
But my wife, who follows this kind of celebrity gossip more than I do, was mentioning to me while this was happening that Chris Rock apparently isn't really liked a lot. Like a lot of those Saturday Night Live alum. Who's another guy? Mike Myers is another one. Like a lot of these guys apparently aren't really liked within the Hollywood community.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, I don't know what the relationship between Rock and Will Smith was, but I know that other from what my wife tells me, other people have found Chris Rock to be like offside, or he's seen as kind of an asshole or whatever.
Oh, wow.
I want to see
Well,
what
I mean,
our comedian podcasters are going to say about this,
yeah,
because they would probably be the most adjacent to Chris Rock as far as like the community goes. I have to find out who opens for Chris Rock on the regular, and see what they all say about it.
Theo Vaughn, do you guys know who that is?
Theo Vaughn opens for him?
No, but he was tweeting out like early. I saw one of his tweets. He was like pissed that that Chris Rock couldn't make a joke in that Will Smith cut. So up in arms about it.
I think a bunch of comedians are going to be pissed.
I mean, it was a pretty mild joke.
Yeah.
So I haven't heard any like issues about Chris Rock before. I don't know. I know that he's not. You don't really see him on podcasts or anything like that. So, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he's ever been on Rogan. I bet Rogan wants him on there now. He's like, Chris Rock, come to Austin. I want to talk to you. I bet that get a lot of ratings if he was able to get Chris Rock ASAP.
So he was making this joke when he was reading he was presenting an award for, what was he presenting the award for? He was saying something that Javier Bardem and Penelope Cruz were both nominated for.
It was something to do with the documentary, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. G.I. Jane. I mean, the G.I. Jane joke. I mean, it seems to me. I mean, I don't know, but I kind of doubt that he actually knew that Jada Pinkett Smith has alopecia, because if he knew that, he probably wouldn't have made that joke. But I mean, even if he did, it's still a pretty mild joke.
All right. Well, I don't know. It's yeah. I know J.A. Jane is super mild. It's not like he compared her to something else,
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's about, and he even said, that was like nice. It was a nice joke. And I agree, it wasn't like a super hateful joke. Like it's not. It didn't sound like a joke that you'd hear like at a roast. A roast joke would be way more offensive,
Yeah, for sure.
Getting ready for G.I. Jane 2.
I can see what you mean, Chris, about how it seemed like Will Smith was laughing at first, and then he looked over at his wife and saw her facial expression, and then stormed the stage.
Well, you know what happened? Because I think they have, I think they probably have like TV screens of what's being aired, and he probably saw himself first laughing, and then he saw his wife like not happy about the joke.
Right.
And then that's when he had to react, because he was already in the shitter for laughing at the joke.
Right.
And I saw people come like online trying to white knight for Will Smith. They're like, oh no, he was laughing at the previous joke. Like, his reaction time is so fucking slow. Then you saw how quickly his wife reacted to the joke, and he's gonna laugh for a couple more seconds. So it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Oh man.
Did the audience gasp or anything when he got slapped? I didn't like.
Yeah, there was a reaction for sure. If you go back and listen to it, it's it's not like a gasp, but it's like a, or.
Yeah, I think I heard something. I don't know. it seems. It seems like maybe it was a mild reaction because people were so almost so shocked that they didn't know how to react. Almost kind of like how Chris Rock didn't even really know how to react either. I mean, it's kind of unexpected to get slapped by Will Smith.
Right.
Yeah, especially at the Oscars in front of millions of people. That's the crazy thing about it, Like, I don't know. At least say something after the show and say, "Bro, that was uncalled for," or something like that. But just be like, "Here I am. I'm gonna like just violate you. Here we go. Bam."
Mm. Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the weird thing, because you think about how much privilege is going on there. Like, if he was just like a regular person, he would have got booted the fuck out. Like, he would not have been able to just go back and sit down after slapping some dude in the face.
Yeah. I was just thinking something similar. I was thinking, man, why didn't the security stop him? Did they think it was part of the act that they weren't told about or something because he's an actor? Because if it was just some random guy running up there, he probably would have been stopped before he got to the stage.
And even if he wasn't stopped, he would have been removed. Like right after that. Like, if it was a B-lister or like a C-lister who went up there, they would have gotten removed.
Yeah.
From the event. Like, no doubt. Like, if
Yeah,
Kanye went up there, I bet if Kanye went up there, he would have got removed.
You think so?
Yeah, because everybody knows he's crazy, so it's okay to remove him from an event.
Kanye did go up and he didn't get removed. I mean, if he did it again, obviously it would be. But the first time he went up Taylor, they didn't remove him.
They removed him from the event or just from the stage?
They didn't remove him from the stage. Remember, he went up there and made this whole entire speech.
Yeah, for Beyonce.
Beyonce made the greatest video of all time.
Let me finish. I'm gonna let you finish.
I'm gonna let you finish. I'm happy for you, but Beyonce made the greatest video of all time.
That's such a dick move. Public freakouts. So this is going to be, I wonder, for 2022, what this is going to rank for public freakouts.
Yeah, I don't know.
Are we going to have something that tops this year?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. There's so many of them often.
Yeah.
This is interesting too because it's it'll draw more attention to the Oscars too. So I bet the producers of the Oscars and people like that are probably happy about it because I don't really pay that much attention to the Oscars in comparison to how much I used to. And I know a lot of people don't too, and their ratings have been steadily dropping over the years as well.
Yeah, well, there's
a lot of people online thinking it was staged because of the Oscars. Their ratings were so bad for that. But yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. And I'm loving like some of these comments I'm finding like about this. It's like Will just gave Chris Rock at least a 20-minute bit with that slap.
Yeah, he probably did.
Special is about to be epic.
Yeah.
Someone wrote, "This is by far the craziest moment in Oscar history."
I bet it's sad to a lot of actors that that's the most memorable moment.
You mean for the Oscars?
Yeah. Not even an acting moment, a real life drama moment.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. Just that reaction is just super off and weird.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have expected that at all.
Yeah, me neither. That was really sudden. Yeah, well, I guess I don't know. Do you guys think that the decline in popularity of the Oscars a lot of it is due to the increase in streaming services and the convenience for people watching things at home, and a lot of movies that are nominated for Oscar now are original Netflix shows or other streaming service originals too. So there's and also it seems like a lot of the time movies that are nominated for Oscars and win them are really unpopular, super artistic ones, and the big blockbuster ones are never nominated for things other than best visual effects and best sound editing and that sort of thing.
Mm.
Yeah, there's a lot to that. I would also say that I think people are tired of seeing elites just like brag about themselves and winning awards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oscars and like Screen Actors Guild, all these awards, even like the music Grammys, they're all down, right? People are, a mixture of a bunch of things, right? There's a lot of variables there. I think people are tired of, there's a lot of content out there, and you're right, a lot of artsy-fartsy movies that nobody would really watch are making it to the best scene, you know what I mean? Where there's a lot of snubs and other ones that should have made it, not even talked about, right? So, yeah,
for sure. All right. Well, yeah. Thanks for telling us about that and suggesting that we talk about it. And you guys, got any more thoughts on that?
I have a choice comment here that I'm pulling from YouTube.
Oh, okay. Okay.
This is one I had contention with, but this is what it says. I think the realization set in that it was a joke made about her haircut as a result of her alopecia, and then he realized she got upset, and they then say roasts are cool and all, but you can't just say it's a joke, bro. Calm down when you do a roast and hit something that was a condition, especially with health, and especially when the person didn't consent to a roast. I was like, bitch, you're at a comedy show. Your appearance there is consent to be roasted.
Yeah. Still, though, I mean, I don't know how I would react in that situation, and I don't have alopecia either, but I mean, I don't know if someone made, I have epilepsy and OCD. If someone made an epilepsy joke or an OCD joke, I don't think I would react that way.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, like, when a comedian is working a crowd, they're not expected to know intimate details about the people in the crowd.
Yeah, of course.
So I wouldn't expect Chris Rock to know about the alopecia. It would have been different if Will Smith just like grabbed the mic and says, "Hey, my wife has a health condition, and I don't accept this." Basically verbally saying something, but a slap, that's just fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, I wonder if the reason for that is like we were saying, that he was trying to save face for laughing.
That's what I think.
First.
It was an attempt to save face for him fucking up, and because his wife was mad. I think he probably, and like, to think, if you really, really think about it, the person who fucked up the most before the slap even happened was Will for laughing at it when his wife was pissed.
Yeah.
And I bet she got even more angry that he was laughing at it. And I'm probably pretty sure she probably said something to him or something, and then that's when he got up and did the slapping. The slap.
Yeah.
Kind of weird, though. I know, that's just kind of strange.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is.
Well, apparently, there was like some other joke that was made about them by Regina Hall.
Oh, was there?
Yeah, that she was joking about their open marriage or whatever the hell happened with that other previous scandal that they had.
Oh yeah, you were saying before we started recording that they at one point something like they were separated and in an open marriage, and then their kids are both non-gender binary, or one of them is bisexual or something like that, and there are all sorts of in our modern Western culture what are seen as very unusual family dynamics.
Yeah, so I am looking at this other joke that was made about them, and it was actually made at the Oscars about their weird relationship situation.
Was the Regina Hall thing tonight, or was that from a previous Oscar?
Well, I'm looking.
Tonight?
Yeah, I'm looking. Let's see. Regina Hall made an extremely awkward joke about Will and Jada, and this was posted.
I wonder if it was before.
like not long, like a few minutes ago.
Oh, okay.
Let me see if this was tonight. Regina Hall. Yeah, she took the stage and introduced Jason Momoa and Josh Brolin, and that's when she cracked the joke.
Oh, I think I can probably I'm gonna play. I gotta go through ads here, but I'm gonna screen share and play that clip of her making that joke here in a minute too.
Sorry, was that before the Chris Rock slap?
Dusty?
What's that? No, this was before.
Okay.
Yeah, so she made that joke before. Oh, so she had gotten a second ding.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think I found that clip. So.
Well, that's what happens when you air all your weird fucking dirty laundry on the internet.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I'm gonna screen share and play. I'll play part of this clip with Regina Hall making that joke.
Oh, you found it?
Yeah.
A bit of bad news. As you know, everyone here has been tested for COVID, but unfortunately, some of the test results have gotten lost. So before we go on with the show, we just have to do some quick emergency testing backstage. Don't worry, it's only a few people. It's totally random. So when I call your name, I'm just going to need you to come with me.
Regina Hall is calling all the single hotties to the Oscar stage for a COVID test.
I've got a list here, which I'm looking at. I have memorized, but if you hear your name, I'm going to start with Bradley Cooper, Timothy Chalamet, Tyler Perry, Simu Liu, and wait.
The comedian and actress also called out someone else who she.
Tim, oh, you're still with Penelope. You know what? Actually, no. Your test is fine. It says that you're married. I'm negative.
Regina also called out Will Smith, and she's okay with it. But Will gave Regina the no way sign from his seat in the audience.
Wait.
Will Smith.
Will gave Regina the no way sign from his seat in the audience.
Will Smith. You're married, but you know what? You're on the list, and looks like Jada approved you, so you get on up here.
The 51-year-old Girls Trip actress also.
That's what that was all about? It's
a dig at like the weird polyamory shit that was going on with their relationship.
Oh, okay. I didn't even get it.
It's like a more accepting joke, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They definitely accepted that one.
Yeah. It was because she said he was approved, meaning that he's approved to, do shit outside of their relationship. That's kind of what the joke was.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, they're just different. Nothing wrong with that. Seems like there's this whole situation seems just kind of funny to me.
Yeah,
for the most part.
It's nuts, man.
Yeah.
there's something missing from here, because for him to just snap like that, it's just so strange, right? And uncharacteristic of him.
Yeah, it seems that way.
Yeah, because I'm looking, there were a bunch of articles posted about the joke regarding the open marriage, but there was
Okay.
no, like, even outlets were commenting on this particular joke. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Oh, okay.
And they currently
Yeah.
have an open marriage, or having a weird, like, they have an open marriage or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I wonder how much of the, well, I don't know, this is total speculation, but I wonder if any of his reaction to by slapping Chris Rock was to distract from the attention of that other joke too. But it seems like if that were the case, that he seems like he cares way too much about alopecia and way less about them being exposed as having an open marriage.
Yeah, it looks like they came clean about the open marriage in 2021.
Oh, okay. So it was
And they
already
called it
public
an
knowledge.
entanglement. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, you guys want to move on to the either the Hunter Biden laptop story or Sean Hannity versus Tulsi Gabbard rather.
Sure,
On
man.
Russia and Ukraine. Let's do the Sean Hannity and Tulsi Gabbard thing first, because I got the clip with the interview for that one too that we can go through. And I will.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Dumity.
I haven't seen this clip, so yeah, that's a good idea to roll it first.
Alrighty.
I'm not really a Sean Hannity watcher.
Yeah, me neither.
Hawaii Congresswoman, current Lieutenant Colonel in the Army Reserves, Tulsi Gabbard, as well as Tulsi. Let me play a quote of you on Jesse's show, and I want to ask you about it.
Central to that humility, Jesse, is first and foremost recognizing you're not God. You are not in control. And if you try to pretend that you are, what will result, even with good intentions, what will result, unfortunately, is more suffering, more hardship for the people in the world that supposedly he's trying to save.
So I am a supporter, Tulsi, of the Reagan doctrine and the Trump doctrine. Reagan doctrine is providing Stinger missiles
Trump
to the
doctrine.
Mujahideen when the Soviets invaded in the 80s. They were successful. They pushed the Soviets out. Supporting the Nicaraguan freedom-fighting Contras over the Sandinistas and Daniel Ortega. I'm also a supporter of the Trump doctrine, which is bomb the
Oh yeah, the freedom-fighting Contras.
living hell out of people. Don't put an American boot on the ground, maybe some intel boots there, but that's about it. And with pinpoint accuracy, push buttons from all over the United States, and we'll hit any target we want, and we'll blow the caliphate out of existence. Trump did it.
Yeah, drone strikes have pinpoint accuracy, don't they?
Yeah, killing civilians.
Tarmac, al-Baghdadi and associates, and the al-Qaeda leader in Yemen. It sounds to me like you don't believe in that. We're not putting one American boot on the ground, and my argument would be, if Putin is successful here, God only knows where his territorial ambitions will take him next.
He'll take over the world.
Yeah, Sean, you know, all the things that you just talked about and explained there, frankly, are tactics. Those are tactics to accomplish what? And the what is really the central question here that needs to be answered is, what is our objective? What is the objective of the United States? What actions and objective best serves the interest of the American people? That's the question. That's the thing that President Biden and his administration has failed to detail, outline, or even identify. And it's frankly why we're seeing how he's at NATO right now, trying to clean up the mess that he made with these food shortages and all these things coming around as a result of the sanctions policies that he put in place. So anytime you look at so many of our foreign policy disasters in the past, we see they have come about because our leaders have failed to outline What is it exactly we are trying to achieve, and how does it best
Okay,
serve
let
the
me-
interests of the American people? Will it
Let me
make our
ask the
lives
question
better?
differently.
Will it improve them, or will it actually make it worse? And I think that's really the central question
let me
that
ask the
our
question a
president of
different
this
way.
country needs to answer.
It wasn't a good
does
answer.
The world, we can't be the world's policeman. You and I agree on that part. We can't.
No, you don't.
Okay,
However,
so he's like
we are a
contradicting
nation that
himself.
has a conscience and a soul and a belief in natural law that rights.
Sorry, say that again, Dusty.
He's completely contradicting himself. He says, "Oh, we can't be the world's policeman," and then he talks about, "Oh yeah, let's bomb the fuck out of these people."
Yeah, we can use
arm
pinpoint
these-
accuracy.
That's so dumb.
Yeah.
Rights come from God, not from government. So I think you agree with
Well,
that.
rights
part.
come from God.
And
Yes.
when you see entire cities like Mariupol decimated, hospitals bombed out, maternity hospitals, schools bombed out, indiscriminate bombing of innocent men, women, and children, and you see women and children shot dead, bombed out in the streets and the cities of Ukraine, does America at least have a moral obligation to assist a country that's willing to fight for itself to defend their natural rights? Because that's what Reagan called the Reagan Doctrine.
The role that we have, and that frankly President Biden should have carried out from the
Also, what part of that is a Trump doctrine? Trump doesn't have a doctrine. His doctrine was, "Ooh, I feel like doing this right now. Oh, I feel like doing this right now."
Yeah, he described the Trump doctrine as bombing the shit out of places.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what he described it as, and that's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
from the get-go in this, and I've talked about this with you before, is doing all that we can to try to prevent this tragic war from happening in the first place. Try to prevent.
I agree with that, but I'm looking at where we are now.
Lives from being lost.
But what you see with your own eyes, but what you see with your own eyes, and what we're showing every night, is there a moral obligation, and is it wise and strategically beneficial to the world, and including the United States, to stop this megalomaniac murdering thug right here,
Megalomaniac
right now,
murdering
with the Ukrainians
thug
willing to fight if they only have the weapons?
We have to look at the world as it exists in reality, not the world that we wish existed.
You're ducking.
And it is a
Tulsi, I'm asking a real question here.
No, I'm trying to answer your question. The cruelty is to try to pretend to the Ukrainian people that they are going to win in a war against a nuclear-armed country that is out-equipped, that has stronger equipment, more tanks, more bombs, more planes, more people, more everything.
I disagree with Tulsi here.
It's not realistic. So what should have been done from the beginning is the same.
Yeah? You disagree?
Well, I disagree with Tulsi because America has been nuclear equipped since 1945, and we've lost how many wars? Like, we lost in Vietnam, we lost in Afghanistan. Like, I don't think that's a great argument from Tulsi, because there's definitely examples of the biggest military since 1945 losing wars. So, yeah, I'm not there with Tulsi. Like, I think the Ukrainians do have a possibility of winning. It's going to be long and brutal. Something like Vietnam, something like, where the West loses. Like, we lose when we just can't. A lot of times, and this is what I've been heard, at least lately, that Putin has scaled back his winning condition. And his winning condition, Kyiv isn't part of it. So he's now saying, "Oh, this was just a distraction." But we know it's bullshit. He was probably trying to take Kyiv, and he failed miserably. But I don't think it's that simple. I think nuclear powers can lose wars. It really depends on how much guts the Ukrainians have and what type of negotiations they go into when they try to end this thing.
Yeah. And I mean, North Korea is a nuclear power too, but if I understand correctly, they have a super weak military and not that much nuclear capability overall. So I mean, in any all-out war with any other country, or at least most other nuclear power countries, I'm guessing anyway, they probably would lose.
Yeah, I don't think. I think North Korea would be decent at defending their own country, but they don't have. I don't think they have the capability of waging wars on someone else's border, because when you send troops abroad, you got to supply them, and you have to have those resources at hand to keep that war going. That's probably the hardest part of that, is keeping your army supplied overseas. This is one of the reasons why the Russians are having problems, because they don't have those types of resources to keep their troops supplied. But I don't know. I think Ukraine has a chance. They're not fighting a military force as well equipped as the United States. Yes, they have nukes, but using a nuclear weapon would be a tactical error on the part of the Russians. I don't think they would use nukes unless they're trying to create more Chernobyls, in which uninhabited areas. So I don't know. I don't believe they're going to use nukes. It would just be kind of ridiculous if they did.
Yeah,
it's not like they're bombing Ukraine to stop Ukraine from invading Russia. That's the only time nukes have been used was against Japan, who were waging an offensive war overseas.
And then there's debate about whether they were going to just surrender sometime soon anyway. And there's also debate among historians about how much and whether Stalin had designs for taking over any other countries, like and whether he was going to attack parts of Asia too.
Yeah, I know the Japanese. Well, I don't know now, but I've heard discussion that the Japanese were more afraid of a Russian invasion than an American invasion. So, and I think Russians had some designs on some of the northern Japanese islands. And because of the Russians, like the type of government that the Japanese were running were in direct opposition to Russian ideology. So Japanese were very close to fascists at the time in the way that they were running their country. And the Russians were very anti-fascist.
Unlike, contrary to what James Lindsay claims, communism and fascism are actually often in opposition to each other, even though they're both authoritarian, fucked up ideologies.
Right. So I know, it's a little messy, but if you're trying to draw a comparison to what's going on in Ukraine, it's not even close. Like, Ukraine didn't have any world domination ambitions. They're not waging any type of wars abroad. It doesn't make sense to use a nuke on them. Like,
yeah, of course. That'd be so fucking stupid. If anyone uses a nuke, it's a massive tactical error, because it could lead to World War III and the end of the fucking world. Starting a nuclear war is a fucking terrible idea. That's why the Cold War was so terrifying when it was happening, and it ended the year I was born, and now we're basically in Cold War 2.0.
Yeah, so if there was a nuke that happens to go off in Ukraine, I'm assuming nothing would happen, as it wouldn't be a good idea to engage with that at all.
Oh, don't tell Sean Hannity that you're gonna let Putin bomb Ukraine.
Yeah, but did Sean Hannity, was he this upset when Russia invaded Chechnya? I don't think so.
I have no idea.
I doubt it. I doubt he was this upset when, because this type of destruction you're seeing in Ukraine is the same shit that that Putin was doing in Chechnya. It's no different. Like massive bombing of cities and bringing them to rubble. Was Hannity upset when in Syria they were bombing the fuck out of cities? I don't know. I don't think he was this upset. I don't think it was. I don't know. Maybe he was. I think there were some Americans that were upset. I know Hillary Clinton was definitely upset about it. But if Hillary Clinton wanted it, he is probably a contrarian. So I have no idea.
I don't think he's at any point been upset about Saudi Arabia engaging in a genocide in Yemen, which has been financially supported by the U.S.
Right. So I don't know. It's a bit of a murky situation.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's like half of Fox News loves Russia, and then now half of Fox News hates Russia. It's just
like
so
if
weird.
you go from Tucker Carlson to Sean Hannity, you have totally opposite views, right? One of them, like Hannity advocated for assassinating Putin, and Tucker Carlson is basically pro-Putin.
Right. He's definitely pro-Putin.
Yeah.
And he's their biggest host, so I wonder what his ratings are like now. If they've taken a dip for him, taking on being pro-Russia. But who knows? I have no clue. It's hard to say.
Probably we could check, because wasn't that a while ago, a couple weeks?
Yeah, it's been ongoing that he's been like pro-Putin. Because I'm trying to think of some of the things that he was like. He was really latching on to the Azog Battalion. Tucker Carlson was. He was really latching on to the corruption within Ukraine. He was latching on to just like making pro-Putin arguments.
Okay.
So
I can find that. Yeah, I can find that clip, and we could finish this one and then watch that one if you guys want to.
Yeah, if you can find a Tucker Carlson pro-Putin clip, that'd be interesting to comment on.
All right, cool. Yeah, so I'll screen share this other one and finish this one. Okay. There we go.
Same
Your
thing
position
that needs
is
to be
give
done
them
now,
nothing.
which is a negotiated outcome.
Wait a minute. Give them nothing because Russia has nukes and they might use them. That's your answer?
We've provided
Even that's a good
tremendous
answer.
amount of support to Ukraine, not only now but over the years, so that they have the ability to defend themselves. And the Ukrainian
But should
military
we
and the
give them
people
the
are
weapons
putting
so
up
they
an
can win? You're not
incredibly
answering.
strong.
Should we
strong
give them the
defense.
weapons to win the war? If they're doing a great job, everybody acknowledges that. Should we give them all in Europe too? Give them the weapons if they're willing to fight for their country.
They can't win this war, Sean. This is the real world that we live in. It is not. It's not strategically possible to think that Ukraine is going to beat Russia. If you look at it, and then
so
it
what
also
you're
is the
saying
question:
is
what does winning
you
look
fear
like?
Vladimir Putin.
Like?
What you're saying
You're
is
saying you fear Vladimir Putin would use a nuke. If he uses a nuke, the radiation fallout will impact NATO countries. That triggers Article 5. Do you believe in Article 5 of the NATO agreement?
I think the most responsible thing that our leaders, the United States, leaders of NATO, Ukraine, and Russia need to do right now is look at what the reality is that we're facing on the ground and the reality that the world is facing, and come together to be able to negotiate an outcome to this.
Okay, Putin doesn't want to negotiate. Clearly doesn't want to negotiate. There's been many
Hannity's being ridiculous.
So when
Yeah,
you
he
see
really is.
Images of dead women and
I'm not
children,
aware of you.
and when you see
dead women and children in Ukraine.
What if they use a nuke? It's like
Not
giving them
negotiate
weapons is not going to affect
defend
them
themselves.
using a nuke or not. It's like that's a dumb argument. Like, oh, we should give them weapons because if we don't give them weapons, Russia's going to use a nuke. Like, it doesn't fucking matter if you give them weapons or not.
No matter how much weapons you give them, that's not nukes. Unless you give them nukes, that's not really a deterrent against nukes.
Right.
I just want to know yes or no.
You're missing my point here, Sean, which is we've got to know what we're trying to accomplish, which is an end to this war. It is cruel to make the Ukrainian people believe that somehow they are going to win this war by prolonging it, and that's what you're talking about here. It would prolong this war, prolong the suffering,
But your
and
argument
end up
is
causing
predicated
more
that
lives lost in the end.
If Vladimir Putin wanted to negotiate, he would have done it a long time ago. He's not willing to. And if he wants to use chemical, biological, or nuclear weapons...
He hasn't done it before, therefore he's not open to negotiating at any point because he hasn't at any point so far.
Yeah,
that's
and
what we call
he also changed his winning conditions, which... if he changed his win conditions, then something definitely has gone wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, and assuming that he's not going to negotiate now because he hasn't in the past, that's just a post hoc rationalization.
Weapons, he's got to know that his entire country is going to be blown off the face of the earth. I pray to God we never get to that point, but that's always been a threat. And it remains a threat here, and we can't cower in fear based on the fact that we've had mutually assured destruction pretty much for all a lifetime. But I appreciate you being on. Good.
Cheers to the small businesses we missed.
Stop. Listen, bro, we gotta threaten to blow their country right off the map, otherwise that won't stop.
Yeah, it's so dumb.
Yeah.
Well, I think, yeah. I understand Tulsi's sentiment, and she's more concerned about a prolonged war and the casualties that'll cause, and that's the right thing to be concerned about. But I also don't think that the Ukrainians don't have a chance to win when Putin has already shifted his win conditions. So
yeah,
it's definitely, I don't think, because right now shifting win conditions is basically the military version of shifting the goalposts.
Yeah.
He was going for this thing and he couldn't do it, so he had to shift the goalposts a little bit. And all Ukraine has to do is keep them shifting the goalposts until the goalposts are something acceptable, and then they can do some type of peace negotiation.
Oh, okay. The most recent clip I see with Tucker Carlson talking about Putin is from 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
At least on YouTube, anyway.
Okay.
That's a super long clip, though. I'm gonna look for a shorter one.
Yeah, I know that there's been talk from those who usually counter Tucker. I've seen clips from those types of people that have shown, because I never really listened or watched entire Tucker Carlson bits at all.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, I've got better things to do.
I usually just watch people talk about clips from Tucker. Usually from people I know who are not shady and don't edit things out of context.
Yeah. Okay. I found a slightly shorter clip, but this clip is still super long too, so I can...
Well, you can play it at 1.5 maybe.
Yeah. Are other people not used to listening to things at 2 times speed?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll play.
I think 2 times speed might be too crazy, because when people listen to this at 2 times speed, then Tucker's going to be at 4 times speed.
We can just listen to part of it, or do you want to? Would you rather listen to part of it at 1 times speed, Chris, or maybe slightly more of it at regular speed, or slightly more of it at 1.25 or 1.5?
Well, at least we can get his opening argument and his closing argument.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, let's do that. Good idea. All right, I will do that then. Okay.
So things are changing very fast. For weeks, leaders in Washington told us that an American-backed no-fly zone in Ukraine would be unwise because it would amount to an act of war against a nuclear-armed Russia. As you can see, those views have evolved a lot. But in fairness, Congresswoman Maria Salazar got there first. Salazar is a longtime news anchor from Miami who a little over a year ago was elected to Congress as a Republican. She now sits on the Foreign Affairs Committee. A week ago, a reporter from the Gray Zone asked Salazar what she thought of a no-fly zone. Here's what she said.
Do you support a no-fly zone in Ukraine?
I support everything that has to do with punishing Vladimir Putin and helping the Ukrainians.
Wouldn't that mean direct conventional warfare with Russia?
I don't know what it will mean, but freedom is not free.
So you don't know what a no-fly zone will mean if you have to shoot down Russian planes. I mean,
of course.
I don't know what it means, but freedom is not free. Now, we made fun of that answer last week when we first showed you that clip. But now what we mocked is the consensus in Washington. We don't know what's going to happen. We've got to do it immediately.
I know what you might have to do, Andrew. You might have to get a clip from him from at least 3 weeks ago, because that's when the war started.
Okay. Yeah, there was a clip from a month ago. I'll go to that longer clip, but so like in terms of what we saw so far from that one, I
agree with not having a no-fly zone.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. I agree that a no-fly zone is fucking stupid, and I recognize that guy's voice too. Max Blumenthal from the Gray Zone. They're really anti-war outlet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, here's his clip from a month ago. Screen share this one instead.
What would be ideal in this situation, you think? Like they just sign a peace agreement tomorrow? I just don't see that happening anytime soon. You know what I mean? On both sides.
Well, I know there's been negotiations, so I know Zelensky so far has said that in order for him to stop hostilities, he'd need Russia to pull out of the Donbass region and Crimea. So
and one of them was that one of the conditions was that Ukraine would not become a NATO country.
Right, that is one of the conditions.
Yeah,
but that's one of the conditions that Zelensky has accepted.
Okay.
I know there. Yeah, I think two things can be true at once here. I think one, I don't think that the Russia's really going to pull out, and I don't think that Ukraine is going to be accepted into NATO.
Yeah, I think that's.
I know Zelensky said that he wasn't going to join NATO.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're probably right, Chris. I mean, it seems unlikely that Putin is going to pull out of Ukraine anytime soon, at least. And it also seems like Zelensky doesn't want to join NATO anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like ideally, you would want Putin to give the call and say, okay, our Russian troops have taken enough casualties. We got to pull back a little bit here, or what I'm stuck with is that I just don't see him doing that. Like usually these guys, they put their foot down on the gas like a brick and they don't let off. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think he cares about losing more Russian troops. He'll send more from the eastern side of Russia to fight, the western side of Russia to fight what's going on in the east.
I would agree, except why would Vladimir Putin change his winning conditions?
No, I know, but somebody sent me a clip the other day of, and this is probably a week and a half ago, but it was like it was a rally in Moscow at a football stadium or a soccer stadium, and yeah, it was just like, I don't know, it didn't seem like, and I know it's just propaganda I was watching, but it didn't seem to me like this is like a regime that was, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe like a Trump type rally where there's like people cheering and shit.
I think Zelensky holds more chips than he. Well, I think it's up to. This is just me. Like I'm saying this as somebody that hasn't really been paying attention that much. Like I said before, the last time we talked about Ukraine, I kind of want to wait until this is all said and done, and then I can go back and read this, because there's so much propaganda and so much fog of war right now that I really am skeptical on a lot of things. What side is telling the truth, and
yeah, me too.
Sometimes, a lot of the times when people are all on the same side of things, I'm also skeptical of that too. You know what I mean? Like something's not 100% right there. Like I think what is happening to the Ukrainian people is horrible, and I don't really think that what Russia is doing, because they acted first here in this incident. I don't think that's really, morally correct. But I do wonder when everybody in my neighborhood is throwing up a Ukraine flag, and here we are in Canada, and they probably had no idea where Ukraine is on a map. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just I'm skeptical if people are more virtue signaling here, and if it, So I think it would be smart if Zelensky were to approach Putin and settle some kind of peace agreement, and sometime soon. I think that he realizes that he's not going to get into NATO, and I think that Russia has taken enough casualties that I think that's the only way that this is going to end good and well. But
I hope
again.
I hope that it's easier to end rather than harder for it to end. But yeah, I mean
to sum that
like,
up, what I meant is Zelensky, kind of stepping forward as opposed to Putin stepping forward first.
Yeah. We were talking before too about how I also am kind of uncertain about all of the things that are going on and don't know who to trust, and people are politicizing every aspect of this and ideological about it as usual. And obviously I don't think it's as simple as Putin is this super villain and Zelensky is this angel and Russia is all bad and Ukraine is all good. I think they're both bad countries with authoritarian leaders, but Putin is way worse than Zelensky.
It's bad and corrupt versus bad and corrupt, as far as I'm concerned. And I think, we should kind of share this, like leaning more towards one being more bad and corrupt than the other, I think, for me at least, which was Russia. But at the same time, as a student of history, I'm well aware of kind of Russia's non-faith in the West and NATO and its agreements, and saying, hey, we're not going to put bases anywhere close to your border. And then they go and they put bases close to the border and saying, oh, we're going to retreat some of those. And then they go and they put, and Hunter talked about this a little bit when he was on Joe Rogan. So, and I'm not saying that this justifies Russia invading Ukraine by any stretch of the imagination, but I can somewhat see how they can flip the propaganda in their favor to kind of get the Russian people on his side, because through their eyes, they view the Ukrainians as right-wing Nazis, and they're holding, they have, labs of, whatever you call it, not Wuhan labs, but labs of,
the bio labs that
biolabs, yeah. So I don't know if they have, but I haven't really gone down that rabbit hole, but let's say they do have rabbit holes for the sake of this conversation. So if Vladimir Putin is kind of, in his mind, thinks that they're over there compiling, weapons of whatever, COVID, right? We just went through COVID and all that. Maybe that Ukrainians are doing that too. That's the conspiracy theory angle I get from it. I tried to justify it through Putin's eyes, and that's as far as I've gotten. And it's probably totally incorrect. But I just think there's more, the power lies in Zelensky making a peace deal than Putin making a peace deal. I think Putin is more stubborn.
Yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, that's interesting too in terms of that. I was going to mention earlier in terms of the biolabs thing. I know some people have called that a conspiracy theory, and maybe it is one. But I think that's interesting too, because Parker and I were talking about Tulsi Gabbard floating that theory to Tucker Carlson last week, and then her stance on this Sean Hannity clip this week is kind of the opposite almost. It's much more anti-war, which is pleasantly surprising to me, because she used to sound much more anti-war, and then more recently she's been sounding more pro-war, like defending Biden's drone strikes that killed civilian children, for example, and things like that.
Yeah, somebody's been showing her the footage of the Ukrainian soldiers and families being murdered in the streets or whatever. I think there's a little bit of like probably not there's probably a hint of truth to the lab thing. Like it's probably like 2 Walgreens that they have in Ukraine, but they're labs. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They're probably they probably deal in chemicals for pharmaceuticals, but through the Russians they're seen as bioweapons, and through the Ukrainians they're seen as pharmaceutical labs, right? Which, who knows, right? Like I said, fog war and all that kind of stuff. I'll wait for the books to be written a decade from now to find out what really happens. I just hope this ends quickly, obviously, as somebody that is not really a pro-war.
Yeah, I agree. Totally.
Anyway, roll that Tucker.
Alrighty.
I think I found some Tucker for you. It's the short
Good
clip.
evening and welcome to Tucker.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if you find...
You can play this one. You can play this one. I'll try to get this other one to you.
Carlson, tonight, since the day that Donald Trump became president, Democrats in Washington have told you have a patriotic duty to hate Vladimir Putin. It's not a suggestion, it's a mandate. Anything less than hatred for Putin.
Dusty, just send that in the private chat here on StreamYard if you find it.
Yeah, I'll try. Actually, let's see if I can
Many Americans have obeyed this directive. They now dutifully hate Vladimir Putin. Maybe you're one of them. Hating Putin has become the central purpose of America's foreign policy. It's the main thing that we talk about. Entire cable channels are now devoted to it. Very soon, that hatred of Vladimir Putin could bring the United States into a conflict in Eastern Europe. Before that happens, it might be worth asking yourself, since it is getting pretty serious, what is this really about? Why do I hate Putin so much? Has Putin ever called me a racist? Has he threatened to get me fired for disagreeing with him? Has he shipped every middle-class job in my town to Russia? Did he manufacture a worldwide pandemic that wrecked my business and kept me indoors for 2 years? Is he teaching my children to embrace racial discrimination? Is he making fentanyl? Is he trying to snuff out Christianity? Does he eat dogs? These are fair questions, and the answer to all of them is
no, they're not, bro.
Those
are fucking stupid
so
questions.
Why does permanent Washington hate him so much?
Yeah, but he's talking to Republicans that watch Fox News. So
yeah. Did you see?
Yeah.
Did
And
you see
everybody knows that Tucker Carlson equals racist. So when he says calls him a racist, it's like he's like acknowledging that he knows that the left wing culture knows that he's classified as a
he's trying to frame it in culture war. He has to frame it in culture war talking points.
Yeah.
Because
did you guys see that clip?
Operate.
Did you guys see that clip that was with a translator talking for Putin, and he was saying that Russia is becoming a victim of cancel culture like Jk Rowling?
What? Are you serious? I have not seen that.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to find that clip too. That's a really funny one.
Oh man,
if you've been watching the news, you know that Putin is having a border dispute.
Do you know what John Boy is?
No.
Sounds familiar.
John Boy, he's like a sports guy, what he does is he takes like mostly baseball, but he does all sports. He takes like sports plays that are really important, then he goes through and he breaks it down. But anyway, he went through and he did a breakdown of the Chris Rock and Will Smith slap.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, sorry, continue.
No problem.
Ukraine. Now, the main thing to know about Ukraine for our purposes is that its leaders once sent millions of dollars to Joe Biden's family. Not surprisingly, Ukraine is now one of Biden's favorite countries. Biden has pledged to defend.
That's a good segue
Ukraine's
into the
borders,
laptop
even as he
thing,
opens
eh?
our borders to the world. That's how it works. Invading America
Oh, yeah.
is called equity. Invading Ukraine.
You want to talk about that first?
Well, I just think that there's like the reason he says that is because didn't Hunter used to work in Ukraine or have a contract there or something like that?
Yeah, that's actually that's a piece of the whole Hunter Biden thing, right? Because it's related to Russia, Ukraine, in that if I remember correctly, Hunter Biden was on the he was on the financial board for a gas company for his. I remember because I was confused about it at first.
Yeah,
like
he's in a holding company. Like Burisma is a holding company that is like a, what do you call? You know how Alphabet is like the company that owns Google and YouTube and all that shit. Burisma is a holding company that owns like a bunch of different smaller energy companies.
Right.
But
and
Burisma,
he was there, and
they don't actually
have
anything to do with the day-to-day operations of natural gas or any shit like that. They just manage financials and stocks
and he was
shit.
he was on that board. He was on that board for his supposed financial expertise, right? Not his supposed expertise for working for a gas company. I think that's what you corrected me about.
You wouldn't. If you're in a holding company, you wouldn't actually hire someone who's a gas engineer or any shit like that. The holding company all they do is they manage legal contracts and financial shit. Like,
right.
You don't need to be like the CEO and know the ins and outs of how to run natural gas for that. It's just
right.
It's just kind of like a holding company, like Alphabet. Alphabet doesn't need to know anything about how Google makes its algorithms. The only thing that Alphabet does is it manages the stocks and financials.
Right.
Yeah. It just looks, and who knows, like I think, let's say if we're going to judge the percentage of how much they've uncovered on the Biden laptop, I'm going to say maybe it's at like 2% or whatever, right? Or what we kind of know on there. But I heard.
I have no clue. Yeah, I don't know how much they found out.
Well, apparently there's child pornography links on there, but apparently there's links and ties to money laundering to Ukraine through this contract that he had there. Because Hunter is like some kind of artist. He sells art, right? So for him, it just looks fishy for him to have dealings in a country that's, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
like we said before, Russia and Ukraine are both corrupt countries and evil countries fighting against each other. It looks fishy for the president, son of the United States, to be dealing with a corrupt and evil country, even though
yeah, for sure. And like we know from before that Hunter Biden is kind of just a lifelong fuck up, and he just loves to party and do drugs and have sex with prostitutes. And I remember from when this story first came out, I was telling you guys about I won't say his name while we're live, but our friend from my friend from Mixed Mental Arts, who I've talked to on this podcast a few times, who has traveled all over the world and knows a guy who has hung out with Hunter Biden many times before and has seen him with a whole bunch of super young girls. So if he has child pornography, or he is perhaps involved with something to do with pedophilia or something like that, I wonder. And with the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing. I wonder if he was connected to Epstein in any way, although that's totally just complete speculation on my part. But I mean, it wouldn't surprise me either. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. You know,
The right wing.
well, we're talking about Hunter Biden, though. You know, yeah, it's super fucking fishy. I wish like the same scrutiny was paid to like Trump's kids to have overseas deals. Like we do know that he was trying to make some deal with Russia. If we're talking about corrupt countries, Russia's fucking corrupt as fuck.
It seems also like similarly to I forget which one it was. I think it was maybe Donald Trump Jr. who similarly to Hunter Biden were trying to use their fathers. They were both trying to use their father's political power at one point to basically just game their way in a corrupt way into getting a job, and it failed.
Well, I know from what I've heard so far.
I heard that. I don't heard so much Don, but Ivanka, it definitely got a few contracts for her fashion stuff due to her dad's influence, apparently. But yeah, I think the Russian. I think there's just I don't know. Sorry, not the Russian. The right wing just is screaming hypocrisy on here because originally the New York Post talked about this Hunter Biden laptop story like a week before the election, if I'm not mistaken. And at that point, if you were to, if you were to even talk about that, that was like the lab leak theory at that point.
Yeah,
you're considered a conspiracy theorist. Now flip to what are we? Year and a half or 2 years into his presidency. Now that the New York Times has confirmed the Hunter Biden laptop thing was actually legit, and it's being investigated apparently by, I'm not too sure, maybe FBI, but yeah, now all of a sudden it's not so much a conspiracy, which again, it's like, I think that's like the theme for the last 5 years. It's like what is once looked at as conspiracy theory eventually becomes like truth, like 6 months, a year later.
Except the QAnon stuff.
I think.
Well, yeah, that's like, yeah, there's a spectrum of bananas and conspiracy theory, but you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah, but I guess what the one of the problems I have is that usually there are people who say that it's a possibility, and then there are people who tout it as fact.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's a fact that this came from a Russian lab. And when they're saying this early on, when they don't have all the evidence there, I think it's fine being skeptical of that.
Yeah, that's true.
You could entertain the possibilities of this, but there were outlets at the time. I know Epic Times made like some fucking documentary, and they had some quacks on, like some legitimate quacks, talking about the lab leak theory, and they weren't talking about it as a theory. They were saying, "Oh, this is what's happening, and this is it." But I think it's one of the things I know, especially when we're talking about like journalism. One of the big stories that we could talk about too, that's kind of related. When it comes to its effect on political discourse, is the dossier, like the fucking
Steele
golden
dossier?
shower. Yeah, the golden shower dossier.
Right.
So there were outlets that were pushing that pretty hard. I think what was the first outlet? Was it the Daily Beast or was it the other one? It was like one of those like outlets that published and pushed it pretty hard.
Right.
And there were other outlets that were kind of like staying back from it because they couldn't confirm it.
Right.
I think it's basically the same deal with this laptop, because I know the mainstream outlets wanted to confirm it, but Giuliani wouldn't let anybody touch these laptops to make those confirmations. So they just couldn't confirm it. And many of non-confirmable stories are usually just not published because it's not ethical to publish a story when you don't have confirmation.
Well, a lot of
truth.
like you were saying though,
Right.
a lot of outlets do that anyway though, right?
Yeah, some outlets do, but you shouldn't fucking say, "Oh, you guys are shit because you guys didn't report on this right when it happened."
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I've been hearing is like, "Oh, the New York Times lies." Like, fuck, they didn't have the ability to confirm it. They weren't lying about it. They just couldn't confirm it.
They're
Like a
telling
lot
the
of
truth
people
about it now.
Well, because they were able to confirm it.
Yeah.
They were able to actually look at the evidence, like the physical evidence, and said, "Okay, yeah, we got to look at the laptop stuff, and yeah, we confirmed it personally, and it's true."
That's good.
Because
Yeah,
before
I
then,
mean,
Giuliani was not letting the people, like any of the news outlets on Trump's shit list, he didn't allow any of those people to look at it. So, you know,
I
like
think,
liberal outlets weren't able to confirm.
for me, it tells the way I look at it is like the Hunter Biden laptop story, theory, whatever is out there. It's out there because the New York Post first talked about it, and then it kind of sits dormant for like a year, right? And the New York Post is kind of viewed as like a kind of crazy publishing wing. Take it with a grain of salt, obviously, when you read any of their articles.
Yeah,
The New
you
York
kind of
Times-
have to, specifically because doesn't Jared Kushner like own the New York Post?
Yeah, that I'm
Oh
not
yeah, I
sure.
forgot about that.
So that there's a major conflict of interest there that you have to be aware of. Like you have someone who works in the White House who owns this media outlet. Then I don't know. You could see how it would be hard to trust that outlet when it comes to anything reporting on the White House. Like I would trust them a lot if they reported on Jared Kushner and like said some bad shit about them. I was like, okay, you know, I could see that they're trying to be objective here, but from what I know, Jared Kushner has killed stories about himself. So,
okay.
So I don't know, man. That's why.
I'm skeptical. I'm
The
skeptical.
Post is a little shady.
Yeah, for sure. I'm skeptical of all, even New York Times. I mean,
they're not that good
just,
overall, but this is good that they said this now. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a good book on the New York Times called "The Gray Lady That Winked" or whatever by I forget the author's name, but anyway, it goes through like their history of every time that the New York Times has told a complete lie. Everything from like sympathizing with the Nazis back in the early 30s and 40s to weapons of mass destruction in the 90s and yada yada yada. But I don't trust the New York Times. I don't trust Fox. I don't trust CNN. I don't trust anybody. The only thing I trust coming out of those things is like, for example, when they have like a fact that none of them can deny, like Taylor Hawkins passing away, for example. That's the only kind of information that I would trust coming out of those news organizations because they all would have to come up with the same. You know what I mean? You wouldn't have like CNN going, "Well, I don't think Taylor. I think he's still alive." Yeah, I don't trust any of those news organizations. But for me, I see kind of New York Times falling in line with like Democratic like talking points, and they're not like a left-wing operative or whatever, but they do. If for them to put on the story means that they got to kind of get ahead of it a little bit. So, because I think that the FBI or whoever's investigating the laptop currently is going to come up with something that doesn't really. I don't think it's going to put Biden necessarily in like that much of hot water, but definitely Hunter for sure. Like either jail time or maybe a fine, or they're going to find something that is kind of like. I don't know. And with midterms and all that kind of stuff, I think they want to kind of get ahead of this story before it becomes too bad.
I don't know, man. Like, due to nepotism, I'm skeptical that he's going to suffer any actual consequences.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I think he may. It depends
I don't think
on
Biden
who's going to prosecute
I
it.
think Yeah, I can see Hunter doing like what 3 months community service, or I don't like if they found like tax fraud with dealing with Ukraine. I'm just making this up. I don't know what they're gonna find. Like I said, now flip a little bit if they do find like child pornography and that kind of stuff. Maybe he does. There's more of an investigation there, and more people are involved, and then it kind of looks more shady. But yeah, at the same time, I would never fault a president for the actions of their sons either.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
the
Well, from
Either
what I
Trump
know,
or Biden.
one of the things I do know about the Hunter Biden laptop story in particular is that at the time that it was discovered, there were many intel agencies that were saying that the laptop was not, or that story was not credible.
No, and you know what? Every time there's I don't know what it is, but there's a weird kind of like stickiness where it's like child pornography, U.S. government, right wing, all these things with every story. It's like this happened. Oh well, it must be those child pornographer senators. You know what I mean? It's like okay, maybe once in a while, but like on every story. You know what I mean? Like this was the thing with Pizzagate. This was and the list goes on and on. Everything is like everybody that works, all the elites in the government in the United States are all like child predators, which, if you have like 1,000 people working in the U.S. government, you're going to probably have one or two people that are doing some shady shit. But I don't think everybody that works in the U.S. government is,
yeah, that's a good point.
That's what it is like. I bet you, like, I think when I think of what's bad on the Hunter Biden laptop things, I'm leaning more towards corruption of like money that, like some of his artwork is selling for millions of dollars and shit like that. And that's all because of just his name, right? So if he was willing to like bend the rules a little bit for financial gain, what's to say he isn't ready to do this for some kind of gas deal or some kind of like real estate deal or whatever, right? So I think they're going to get him more on stuff like that versus the child.
And also, I don't know if you guys listened to that video I sent you guys yesterday with the guys from Chapo Trap House who are lefties who make fun of people all the time. They were talking about Hunter Biden's memoir, and they were saying that it kind of seems like he's open about his drug addiction, but at times he's trying to be like Hunter S. Thompson, bragging about it, like the drugs kicked in right before we went into town. Like he's trying to promote that too, which is like another piece of this that I don't like is that I think people should do drugs and have sex with prostitutes and shit like that as much as they want to. I don't have a problem with that aspect of Hunter Biden, but it's the hypocrisy of Joe Biden is shown in that too, as some people have mentioned before, because he instituted the 1994 crime bill, for example, which was super harsh on crime and was incarcerating a whole bunch of nonviolent drug offenders. And if he were consistent, then his own son should go to jail for years. And I don't think anyone should go to jail for that. So there's there's corruption and there's a hypocrisy aspect to it also.
Yeah, we're gonna learn something like he's gonna like, ooh, he got prostitutes for a few nights, or he did a bunch of like crack with the whole crack pipe thing, which is like, okay, this isn't shocking to me. We kind of know that Hunter was like doing these kind of shady drugs already. So if that's what comes out of this laptop thing, then okay, who cares? But speaking of hypocrisy, I mean, if Don Jr. was to be found with all this shit during Trump's presidency, do you think that the same actions would have come, or not actions, but
well, I could tell you what would happen. I would say all the liberal media would be reporting it and all the conservative media would be avoiding it.
Yeah, so it's just it's tribalism at its finest, right? You're just seeing the flip. But
obviously I guess the like those are the bad aspects, the corruption and the hypocrisy that we know of. The worst case scenario would be if the possibilities of pedophilia and child pornography and shit like that are confirmed, because that's just fucking evil.
Yeah, for sure, and that would go for if this was found for any son of any president.
Yeah, of
no
course.
matter what party you're on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just.
Hunter is definitely a problem child, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine what Biden's reaction would be if it was found that there was CP on Hunter's
Well,
laptop.
it kind of Biden kind of like, I don't know, man. Have you seen? Like, he's like, I don't know. To me, he doesn't look like he's doing that well. But I just could be. And not doing that well, like he looks sick. I just like he's like, stumbling speeches.
Yeah.
Not forgetting
Well, that's
stuff
just Biden
all
in
the
general.
time. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's kind of works out in his. What I'm getting at is it works out in his favor that he's kind of not with us, to have his son be like doing drugs to be not with us. You know what I mean?
At least he's with it enough to not start World War III with Russia. I'm very glad about that, in spite of my many criticisms of him.
Yeah, for true. And I think that kind of rescued him a little bit, because I think if you look at the polls, which I don't look at polls, like I don't look at the media, but according to the
Yeah.
polls, he was doing really bad. His approval rating was pretty low. So, but I think his handling of the Ukraine crisis so far has bumped him up a little bit.
Mhm.
Yeah. As well as other things.
Nobody
too,
wants to go to
ending-
World War III.
Yeah, and COVID,
Yeah.
ending some COVID mandates, that also has some. But yeah, midterms are coming up, and I think that, if the Democrats didn't start making some smart moves politically, they would have gotten their ass kicked, right? So.
No, they're definitely going to lose the Senate. That's for sure. I see no way that they're not going to lose it.
I think it might be closer now, though. No.
The Senate? The Senate,
Yeah.
they're hanging on by they're basically at the mercy of a tiebreaker
One
vote.
vote? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Harris's? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. If they lose one seat, they've lost the Senate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
who knows?
One thing I'll say too is from the things I've been hearing about the laptop. Like, the only thing I'm really concerned, I don't care about any of the prostitute shit. I haven't really heard anything about CP. One of the things that I would be concerned about, though, is if I think they're looking for his communications with people and him trying to arrange some shady business deals or possible money laundering. I know a lot of the things where he said, "Oh, I'm going to introduce you to my dad or something for some certain business deals." But I know a lot of those deals never went through.
There were some emails where he was referring to his dad as the big guy or something like that.
Right.
So,
Right.
Yeah, and that's what I'm kind of worried about. If Biden, again, it's hard to kind of see. I see Biden as more of just like a guy he's been in politics forever, right? So has he used that influence to some financial game? I mean, what senator hasn't? But I mean, I think this more relies on Hunter's shoulders and him prospering more than his father, and just using his father's name.
I just have the feeling that Hunter has been unstable for a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm having a lot of doubts that his dad would accept any type of business deal from him in good faith, considering how fucked up his life is. It's what if you were a businessman, would you go into business with somebody who smokes crack? I don't think so.
Yeah.
He's been in rehab a bunch of times, and no. But to me, it's like it's like that Joe Rogan bit. Oh yeah, he's always trying to because he smokes crack, he's always trying to make business deals with everybody. And it kind of seems like
Yeah.
that, but it also kind of seems like none of these business deals go through because of that in particular.
It's like, guys, we should start a jet ski business. Isn't that a great idea?
Yeah, so I kind of have the feeling that that's kind of like what's going on with Hunter when he was in his crack phase. He was just trying to start all these dumbass business deals, and his dad probably already knew. It's like, yeah, I'm not. He would probably take like the meetings or the calls, but it wouldn't go any further than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I if this fizzles and nothing happens in a week, I can see that happening. I can see the story turning into that's just Hunter. You know what I mean? And everybody.
Yeah, I
moving
could see that too. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because I know Don Jr. was doing some similar shady shit. Because what rescued him is that nothing came up of it. And we're talking about when the Russians came to Trump Tower. But since nothing came up of it, he didn't get in trouble because he didn't give him anything.
Right.
But I think it's going to be something similar to that.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. Yeah.
We'll see. But I feel bad for the guy. I guess not really. He said when was his memoir released?
That's a good question.
Bad for Hunter?
Yes.
See, I don't really feel bad for Hunter. I just see him as a fuck up. I feel bad for, more Biden as being his father. Like, as a father, if my son was fucking up as much as he was, man, I would just be like, what did I not do to raise you? You know,
I feel bad for anyone who's a drug addict, but I don't feel bad beyond that. Like for the most part, he's a spoiled rich kid who fucked it all up, and he's self-entitled, and I don't really. I mean, maybe if I talked to him personally, he would actually seem like a decent human being, but he seems like a stuck-up, delusional sociopath fuck-up to me. But I mean, like I said, I don't want anyone to be a drug addict either, just because it's hard on them.
Do you think that they made it too big of a deal of him using the soft A-N word?
What do you mean?
There's they found some texts or some messages that he was talking to somebody, and he used the soft A-N word.
Soft A-N word? What's that?
The N word that ends with an A.
Oh, the soft N word. I thought you said A-N word. Oh, that. Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh,
I didn't hear that.
I mean,
the hard R, soft A.
I mean, you've to.
So sorry, Hunter said it, or
yeah, Hunter said it when he was talking to one of his business associates or something, or his friends.
Oh yeah, I did see that. He was kind of like, "Yo," wasn't he talking to a dealer or something like that? And he's like, "Yo, what's up, my?"
Yeah, basically. And it was like a big.
Yeah, I think I did remember hearing something like that. But again,
if that's the way he used it, I think that's just funny because he was clearly just not using it in a racist way.
Yeah. That guy's weird.
I wouldn't say that to you. I wouldn't say that to you, Dusty, even though you're black and I'm white, because I'm white.
Well, I'm wondering who took the picture of him sleeping with a crack pipe in his mouth.
That's a good question.
Yeah, no doubt. Although,
he wouldn't. That's a weird thing to do if he did it himself. It just wouldn't make sense.
No, not necessarily, right? Okay, picture yourself as a prostitute, and you're sleeping with this president's son or a rich senator's son, and you want to make some dough.
How much is that photo worth?
Yeah. How much is that?
So do you think? I have no doubt that he smokes crack or smoked crack, but do you think that picture that crack pipe was put there and then the photo was snapped?
Maybe.
I don't know about that. I mean, I kind of doubt that, but it's entirely possible.
He didn't take the picture, so he didn't take the picture. He was asleep, and then there's a crack pipe near his mouth.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to say is, whoever took that picture is it partially staged? I'm not, like I said, I don't doubt that he smokes crack. I didn't need the crack pipe there because he plainly has admitted it. But do you think that picture it's a real picture of him sleeping, but do you think the person who took the picture placed the crack pipe by his mouth?
Oh yeah, I think that's definitely a possibility. I never close my door. I'm never that's definitely a possibility for sure. I mean, shady shit happens all the time where you think that the narrative or this is what happened, man, and then you read something totally different, or this is like changes it, and that could be like just prostitute trying to set him up. Maybe she's like an RNC operative, or something like that. And she's working or some third party.
If you want to go full tinfoil hat, you could go all the way that far. Yeah.
Fuck yeah, let's do it.
And she was trying to make some money with that picture.
She's like, she's part of some Republican Southern Baptist revival, and she wants to take down every Democrat she can. So she puts the crack pipe there. Boom.
But she'd have to have either smoked crack with them or have been penetrated by the Biden penis there.
Yeah, this goes back to
that depends on whether you're already a prostitute and you've just been recruited by the FBI or the CIA, or whether you have to agree to have sex with Hunter Biden in order to plant the crack pipe.
Yeah, there's probably a bunch of senators who have sons who would say no to any prostitute, and you would have the common denominator here is Hunter equals idiot, right? So he's going to be the one that makes bad decisions a lot, right? So but I don't know. Doesn't he have a history of being wasn't he in and out of rehab and all that kind of stuff? Doesn't that kind of correlate with?
Yeah, it was a history of him being an addict.
Yeah, so I lean more towards that crack pipe being his for sure. But
I'm pretty sure it was his crack pipe. But I think that I don't know. Do people oftentimes just fall right asleep while smoking crack?
I mean, if you're an addict, that wouldn't surprise me.
Oh, dude,
I don't know.
As somebody
crack is not like heroin, right? Like crack is a little different, right? It's like taking coke. Like Coke, isn't Coke a stimulant?
Yeah, that's true. Crack is a stimulant too, but I mean, you can still pass out from, I don't know, going on a crack bender or something like that.
I'm pretty sure that's true, but the crack pipe right there, right in his face, is just kind of strange to me.
What were you saying, Chris?
As somebody I work in the service industry, for the past 15 years, so I go into different people's homes, probably 10 different
You've
homes.
seen the crack pipes.
I've seen crack pipes. And I'm gonna, they're not in the houses that are prim and proper and clean and no shit on the carpet. These are cigarette butts are on the couch, and you know what I mean? The dog is missing a leg and there's shit all over the place. There's a baby over there. Where did that come from, right? There's nothing in the place. It looks like crack addicts were getting high as a fucking kite and just slinging their shit all over the place. Yeah, right. So
okay.
You've had to service the crack house.
I see crack pipes out in the open all the time, right? So people that are of that kind of in that mentality, they don't care about other people not knowing. Do you know what I mean? It's a weird thing. It's
okay.
They're not shy about it.
Well,
I mean, if see bongs and stuff too, though, right?
Oh, fuck yeah.
If Hunter Biden was just hanging out with some prostitutes,
you've seen people leave their dildos out?
Oh, really?
Are you serious?
because well, not so much anymore because all the cable boxes are wireless. But back when I first started,
sorry, man. I was thinking about your encounters with dildos was hilarious.
Oh, you get to a point where nothing faces you, and you see so many the way people live and different things that it's just it's a job, right? So I'm just going in there and out and whatever. But back in the day, you still have to run cables to all your cable boxes, right? So the cable outlet would be across the room in the bedroom, for example. So I'd have to run it around the closet or behind the bed, or you know what I mean, and that kind of stuff. And people would clean out their shit for me, but not everybody would clean out their shit for me. So, you know, you move stuff out of the way, or you run the cable behind the dresser, and then that's something that I shouldn't be able to see. And yeah.
So a lot of people hide their dildos behind dressers and beds.
Yeah, under dressers, under beds. Yeah, they do.
Funny.
How did you get to here?
Okay.
Oh man, were there any surprising looking dildos that you've seen?
No, they're just the usual.
Run of the mill.
I didn't see anything with spikes or anything like that.
Or like the Rock's head
like
is like the penis head or something like that.
Nothing with wings. I didn't see anything with wings.
You didn't see like a 2-foot long floppy black dildo, like as big as this.
What about butt plugs?
No, nothing of that. Just mostly like DVDs, lots of pornography DVDs, especially in like teenager bedrooms where they have them underneath.
Teen bedrooms. Oh, embarrassing for it to be a teen.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So you found some teen porn stashes.
Yeah, and like obviously dildos in mom and dad's bedrooms and lotion, creams, condoms, all that kind of shit.
Did you find any like BDSM stuff? Anytime, like handcuffs or like a sex swing or like paddles?
No, I haven't personally, but I'm sure there's guys that I work with that have. I mean, you got to figure too, it's just a numbers game, right? So like if I'm doing like Monday to Friday, 5 days a week, I average about 7 to 10 homes every day, right? Most of them are like prim, proper, nice people, but you know, once or twice a month, you're going to get that home that is just fucking either shady or, you know, it's just weird.
Bad smells.
Bad smells.
Have you ever had to
But it's like-
service a hoarder house?
Yeah, hoarder houses.
Yeah, you told us about that once before, didn't you? Like going to someone's house where they'll have cats and just let them shit all over the floor and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I've been to those for sure. Yeah, sad situations too, man. I've seen like, you know, crack people in the mom and dad's in the basement, and their daughter and son are living upstairs with grandma taking care of them because the son and they're just too high. You know, like just sad situations too, right? So,
yeah.
Cracked out.
I've had people where I've installed internet for them, and I go to like ask them like, hey, how's it going? And they're like, hey, no problem. And like move it in, and they seem a little weird, and like, you know, they're tripping over their own feet, and then I'll like set up their shit, and I'll go to find them an hour later, and I'll go and be like, hey, I need your Wi-Fi password to help you set this up, and they're like on the floor, passed out because they had too much to drink.
Holy shit!
Wow.
Like
they couldn't function long enough to get through an appointment with the cable guy. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. At that point, I just walk out and just like.
Yeah, they were passed out on the ground, so I'll just leave now.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's bananas. But it's in there. I don't know.
I almost became a Dish Network installer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, almost. I almost became one.
How come you didn't?
It was either that or work at home. Like, I would have gotten paid more as a Dish Network installer, but the idea of working from home was very alluring.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I understand that too. So I can play that short Tucker Carlson clip that you sent me, Dusty. And I also found that clip with Putin talking about how Russia's been a victim of cancel culture, like Jk Rowling.
That's funny. Just trying to win the Fox News audience.
Yeah. Okay. There we
and admire President Zelensky's desire to join NATO. Message? Up yours. Kamala Harris encouraged Ukraine to become a member of NATO. Quote, I appreciate and admire President Zelensky's desire to join NATO. Message? Up yours, Vladimir Putin. Go ahead and invade Ukraine. And of course, Vladimir Putin did that just days later. So the invasion was no surprise to the Biden administration. They knew that would happen. That was the point of the exercise. We watched all this happen. We missed it. How? Honestly, because it was insane and therefore very hard to take seriously. Why in the world would the United States intentionally seek war with Russia? How could we possibly benefit from that war? We still don't know the answer to that question, but it is obvious that permanent Washington has been fixated on war with Russia for a very long time. A couple of years ago, you may remember, we'd forgotten, they impeached a sitting president. Why? For threatening to withhold military aid to President Zelensky of Ukraine. Failing to back a proxy
now
war
he's
in
getting
Ukraine
all
was
pro-Trump.
one thing Donald Trump was not allowed as president. Again, they impeached him for it.
That's not
And no
why
one
they
said
impeached
much
him.
about it, even in his own party, because of course they supported war with Russia too. Maybe even more than the Democrats did.
Yeah, that's totally why they impeached him.
So yeah,
I do
he's
agree.
basically blaming the start of the war on Biden or
Yeah.
Kamala. He said Kamala, right?
Yeah.
So
Some
there you
people
go.
say Kamala. I don't really know how to pronounce it properly, actually.
Yeah, it's Kamala, but I don't know. It's like when I read a book and I have this pronunciation in my head, it just sticks. That's kind of how I feel about Kamala.
Right. Yeah, it's like if you read a book first and then you listen to the audiobook when you're rereading it and you notice, oh, I've been saying that name wrong in my head for that whole book.
And then you still continue to say the name wrong after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I do agree though
Dude,
that I mean there's way too much of a there is way too much of a Putin bad, Ukraine good sentiment going on in mainstream media for the most part, which and like we were talking about before, it's important to have more of a nuanced point about this, that Ukraine, Zelensky is an authoritarian leader, and it doesn't seem like Ukraine is a great place to live either, but Russia is way fucking worse, and Putin is way fucking worse.
Well, I think the main thing you just got to remember is fucking invasion. Like,
yeah, and World War III would be a terrible fucking idea. That's the most important aspect for sure.
Like,
yeah.
even when we invaded fucking Iraq, I was like, why are we going to fucking Iraq? You know? And I think there was...
Yeah, but wasn't like 80% of the population wanted to go after 9/11 or something like that? Or...
Yeah, that was
something like that. I just couldn't figure out why we were there. And one of the things I know they tried to justify it was like, oh, you know, what's the guy that Colin Powell, his speech, and saying, oh, they got yellow cake or whatever. They got nuclear weapons. And then, like, the inspectors went, they didn't find shit. And then we're like, well, why are we invading now? You know, it's like, it's just bullshit.
Yeah.
Intel said they had weapons of mass destruction. So.
Yeah. Well, and there wasn't it. Like, that's one of the, even though there are definitely cons to it, that's probably one of the pros to YouTube and alternative media and social media and stuff like that now, because people have easier access to information about what's actually going on in terms of wars. So it's more difficult to sell people propaganda about it, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of information
Tucker
out there, though. Like
Tucker's just being a contrarian, you know. That's kind of his role, is to say whatever the opposite of what the liberal media is saying, like, even if it sounds stupid.
Bro, did you know that the liberal media wants to make M&Ms not sexy anymore? What is wrong with them?
Yeah, it's like, really? You're dedicating time to this topic? Like, man.
The green
There's way
M&M
more
is not
important stuff
fuckable
to talk
anymore.
about.
I would really much like to have all of these M&Ms be ones that I could go have a beer with, rather, and not be those weird non-gender binary conforming folks.
Why do you care about fucking fictional drawings? Like,
Yeah.
Jesus, man, what's wrong with you, Tucker?
Yeah.
And I think there were like people posting. I don't think the right was as supportive as I saw some people who were supportive of that online in different online spaces, but I saw a lot of them got laughed out of the room basically for supporting stuff like that. I think he got universal backlash. Same thing with like Ben Shapiro and like a woman having a dry pussy. Like it's kind of like the same type of backlash.
Cardi B is wet ass pussy, and him talking about how, listen, my wife is a doctor, and if your vagina is that wet, there's something medically wrong with you, okay?
Oh, it's fucking hilarious. I think nobody supported him on that. It was like the laughing stock of the internet that week.
Yeah.
Like there were so many Ben Shapiro memes that week. It was just funny.
Yeah.
And hey, if someone fucks up that much on the left, like it's fucking hilarious too. I don't know why. It just seems to be that they make these weird like fucking culture war like arguments that are completely laughable.
Yeah, I don't like anyone on the left or the right who focuses way too much on culture war and not on other things. Like the lefties can get that way too. Like one channel that I follow just to get my dose of uber left wing, uber crazy left wingism is watching the Majority Report, and they often start off making similar criticisms to what I do, to those that I do of public intellectuals, but then they always seem to go to, and that's why they're racist grifters and they're white supremacists, with like everyone they fucking criticize.
It seems mainly they apply that label mainly to Steven Crowder, from what I've seen.
They apply it to like every conservative they talk about, man.
Oh, I don't even know, because usually the only time I'll watch those videos is when Sam Cedar's talking, because the rest of the people that are on his show now are insufferable.
Yeah, he's more easy to he's more reasonable too. Like the other people on the show, like Emma Fleischland and that black guy and that white-ish guy or whatever, it doesn't matter. They're insufferable too. I don't care about their races. They could be blue, purple, and yellow for all I care. I don't care.
Yeah, it's usually he gets like the better topics, and then like the crappier stuff they get, and it's like, okay, as soon as Sam stops talking and these other people start talking, it's like, yeah.
He's the thing that I like Sam Cedar for is when he is debating some of the people who call into the show, like when he's debated libertarians and anarcho-capitalists before. I think he actually does a pretty good job of that, and he kind of uses the Socratic method or street epistemology a little bit. Like he seems to often ask them questions like, okay, well, who defines what is private property? Isn't it the government that decides whose private property is what? And isn't it the government that decides the value of $1? How are we going to do all of these things by creating this society with no government and still have money and roads and private property, and we're not going to end up having private militias fighting each other all of the time?
Yeah. But yeah, sometimes I watch his content. I don't much unless I'm still have like I'll look at a certain topic, right? Like a certain current event that's happened, and I'll go through my usual folks who kind of comment on that stuff. And if I'm still inkling for more, then I'll see what Sam Cedar might say about it. But he's never ever the first person I'd ever go to find out his take on something.
Yeah, me neither.
But I usually find pretty good Peterson critiques on his channel, though.
Yeah, I would say so too. They just like with him, I guess similar to Jordan Peterson and other people like that. I would say that when they make fun of people, some of the same people who I make fun of, like James Lindsay or Sam Harris or people like that, they make similar criticism. They start off with making mostly similar criticisms that I agree with, and then they go all the way to he doesn't have a clue of what he's talking about, and he has bad intentions, and he's a racist white supremacist or something like that. They do that with Jordan Peterson and Sam Harris and many others too.
Oh, I've never heard Cedar say that. Probably those other super woke people do.
Yeah, it's probably more. It's probably more them. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's older and everybody else is like young.
Yeah.
So they tend to have like younger, woker takes on everything.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like they all think that Joe Rogan's this right-wing transphobe guy, right?
I don't know. Has Sam Cedar said anything about Rogan being a transphobe?
I'm pretty sure they like. It's mostly those other people that were making those extreme of claims, but they've criticized Joe Rogan a lot for for supposedly being transphobic. For supposedly being transphobic, for supposedly being racist, and spreading vaccine and COVID misinformation. That last one seems to be the one that Sam Cedar focuses on the most. It seems like the other like ad hominem attacks basically are what the rest of them focus on more.
Mm. Yeah. So I don't really, when they start talking, I just kind of zone out or I watch a different video.
Yeah.
Well, one of the questions too, did you notice that Useful Idiots has Aaron Mate on it now instead of Matt Taibbi?
Yeah, that started a while ago because he's working on finishing a book that he's writing. So he's the co-host with Katie Halper most of the
it's
time.
just a temporary thing?
Yeah. They talked
Okay.
about her. What's so funny, Chris?
Somebody wrote on Twitter, Jesse Smollett is saying Will Smith hit him too.
Oh man.
Oh, that's so
There's gonna
funny.
be. I told my wife that I'm like, there's gonna be so many good jokes, memes, gifs from just that slap. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm waiting for him. It's too soon, so let's give it a day or two, and we're gonna see the memes roll in.
Oh yeah.
They're
That's
gonna
gonna
get
be
stale
hilarious.
quick, like the Bernie Sanders myths or any of those other memes. I'm sure it'll get stale quick.
Oh, the Bernie Sanders mittens.
Yeah,
remember that?
Yeah. Oh man. You guys want to watch this clip?
So here's one thing.
Go ahead.
Googled the slap heard around the world, and it's all articles about the slap.
Oh, good. Of course. This shit moves so quickly nowadays, right?
Yeah, here's a headline. The slap heard around the world. The Oscars' lowest moment in history.
Yeah. I'm sure there's like a Twitter account named The Slap or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I bet someone made that.
Will Smith's hand.
I love the still of the slap itself. Like just
I added that to the thumbnail.
Face.
I added that to the thumbnail for this video.
It's like it's funny. It's weird because Will is like making attempting to make eye contact with Chris Rock, and Chris Rock's just like looking away. Man.
Yeah, it's a great picture. Do you guys want to watch that clip about Putin saying that he's being canceled like Jk Rowling?
Yeah, go ahead.
Vladimir Putin made an unlikely reference to Jk Rowling in his latest speech. During a televised address Friday on state TV, Putin cited the Harry Potter creator, who has come under fire for statements she has made relating to transgender issues, as proof the West likes to, quote, cancel people, adding that this was something Russia was now facing. He said,
Where's the actual clip of him talking?
Progressive discrimination of everything to do with
Oh,
Russia.
they're just quoting it.
They are now trying to cancel our country. I'm talking about the progressive discrimination of everything to
There you
do
go,
with
back.
satisfy the demands of gender rights. He added, they are now trying to cancel our country. I'm talking about the progressive discrimination of everything to do with Russia, and likened cancel culture to Nazis trying to burn books in the 1930s. Putin's speech comes more than a month after the invasion of
Oh, I think I skipped ahead too far there.
Mm.
There was one of hey Molly. There was one of him actually saying it, but
as proof,
it is
the
a
West
quote.
likes to, quote, cancel people, adding that this was something Russia was now facing. He said that Rowling was canceled because she, quote, didn't satisfy the demands of gender rights. He added, they are now trying to cancel our country. I'm talking about the progressive discrimination of everything to do with Russia, and likened cancel culture to Nazis trying to burn books in the 1930s. Putin's speech invasion of Ukraine, and after numerous Western companies paused operations in Russia, and Russian individuals and businesses faced global boycotts. For more details on this story, head to thr.com. And for the latest...
Oops.
Did J.K. Rowling get canceled? I don't believe she did.
She was like, there was a recent scandal. You know Vosh, that lefty YouTuber we've talked about before?
Yeah, I know he got in trouble.
There was a recent scandal where he was attacking her on Twitter because she was tweeting about something to do with a British politician, saying something about transgender people. So apparently this means that she's been canceled. But she's been canceled. Where's that coming from? Was that you, Chris?
No idea.
Where's that coming from? I don't know.
No clue. No clue.
Okay, well, it stopped. But yeah, that's so funny though. Yeah, like basically J.K. Rowling and I are like we're basically like victims of the Nazis.
That's so stupid.
These cancel cultures like the
Yeah,
Nazis.
I'm pretty sure
books.
the Jews, like after they got, like during their Holocaust, they went and started bombing people like straight away.
Yeah. Yeah, we're being canceled. We have to bomb them. Where'd Chris go?
Putin is ridiculous. He's probably Tubin.
Yeah. Yeah. Putin has come up with so many excuses. So cancel culture is one of them, right? And one of them was NATO expanding their borders closer to Russia, which is more legitimate. But then also talking about the is it the Azov battalion of the Ukrainian military, who are neo-Nazis, but they're also only one small part of the military, and Zelensky is a Jewish president too, so he doesn't mention that. But there were other excuses that he used for attacking Ukraine too. I forget what the rest were.
Yeah, I know there's some blood and soil type things, like, oh, we built up Ukraine, so we should own it. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like Ukraine wasn't even supposed to be its own country.
Oh, right, yeah. And that's just stupid. It's just going back to...
Yeah, they speak their own fucking language. Like, how can they not be their own country?
Yeah, it just goes back to the fall of the Soviet Union and how Ukraine used to be part of the USSR, but that's stupid. Like, you you can look at, if you look at any country's borders historically, then you can say anything you want about what country should be where and belong to who.
I have a question. Did you ever check out that Dugan interview with Thaddeus?
Yeah. I thought it was.
I tried to listen to it. Dugan is just hard to listen to.
Yeah, he's got a really thick Russian accent.
Yeah, and then like the points he makes are really weird.
I think I understand it a little better because he kind of sounds.
I know he was critiquing like modernity and some other philosophical movements.
Yeah, that's why I had it. Like some of what he says is confusing, but I maybe had a slightly easier time understanding him because he kind of sounds a little bit like a post-structuralist, like Foucault in particular, or Derrida, in terms of criticizing the Enlightenment and liberalism, and just having similar criticisms like that. So more similar to Foucault, but he's also anti-Enlightenment, more like the critical theorist in the Frankfurt School too. So he's even more radical than the post-structuralist like Foucault.
Yeah, it was a really, really weird interview.
Yeah, that's one. Alexander Dugin is one person / subject that I'm going to talk about with Ben Burgess when we talk next. We're going to talk about that, and then also criticize anarcho-capitalists and Austrian economics because there's a strong anti-capitalist left-wing history of anarchists, classic anarchists like Bakunin and Kropotkin. And if you read books by Austrian economists like Hans Hermann Hoppe and von Mises, you see that a lot of their political philosophy is on economics is just that. It's philosophical faith claims and tautologies that they use to create their economic worldview. So it's anti-empirical, and it clashes with reality, basically, which is why it's so stupid. But yeah, and Alexander Dugin is interesting too because he's, depending on who you believe, he supposedly has a large influence on Putin and Putin's apparent philosophies. And like I said, it depends on who you believe about how strong of an influence he has. But that's why it's interesting to examine his philosophy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely has like an anti-Western bent.
Yeah, for sure. And it's interesting. It'll be interesting when I talk with Ben Burgess about that, because I didn't know until I saw one of his episodes recently that lefties like him consider Alexander Dugin to be a traditionalist, conservative, and even a right-wing reactionary, which is interesting because I hadn't heard anything about that from when Thaddeus Russell interviewed him on his channel and when he had the philosopher Michael Millerman on to talk about Alexander Dugin.
When did it have Michael Millerman on?
I think he had him on relatively recently. I think that might have been his second appearance on there, though. So I think he might have been on there at least twice.
And he came on to talk about Dugin?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was on there.
I'll probably have to check that out too.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting because he explains his philosophy too, so that might be easier to understand as well.
Yeah, I was having trouble. I was like, this Dugin guy is hard to follow.
Yeah. Have you heard about that guy, Chris? I don't know what he's doing there, but yeah.
Tubin. There we go.
I was not paying attention.
Oh, okay. Have you heard of Alexander Dugin?
Yeah, that name sounds familiar.
He was on Thaddeus Russell's podcast, and he's a Russian philosopher who's kind of like an anti-enlightenment traditionalist and kind of has really interesting critiques of liberalism too. But he's also considered by some lefties like Ben Burgess to be a traditionalist conservative and a right-wing reactionary. So it's interesting.
He's got the
'cause he
beard.
seems-
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know.
I don't know what he looks like.
Never watch his show.
Yeah, check out his interview on Thaddeus Russell's podcast, and also, like I was just saying to Dusty, Michael Millerman, who's another philosopher who was on Thaddeus Russell's channel recently, who was talking about Alexander Dugin's philosophy.
Okay, yeah, no, this is the one who I was thinking of, but I'll check him out.
Yeah, and I didn't know until recently too that he supposedly has a large influence on Putin, and people disagree about the extent to which that's true.
Wait, is he kind of like the Jordan Peterson of Russia or something like that?
I think he seems way more sophisticated and intelligent than Jordan Peterson. I mean, not that Jordan Peterson. I don't agree with this. What I think gets the hyperbolic criticism that Jordan Peterson is dumb. When I criticize him, I try to make sure to say that I do think he's smart, but I think that Alexander Dugin, just because he's a philosopher partially, he just has a much more sophisticated worldview, as a lot of philosophers do, and that could be part of why he probably sounds confusing like Jordan Peterson does. But he's he actually understands the philosophers that he's mentioning, unlike Jordan Peterson.
That video you made recently about Jordan Peterson was really good, by the way.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I wanted to do a detailed critique of, that, for example, that misinformation he was spreading about ivermectin, where the first author of the study said to him on Twitter, "Hey, I'm the first author. This was actually an abstract, and it wasn't submitted due to flawed methods, and it wasn't replicated." And also go through him talking about this new Bill 67 that he sees as the sequel to Bill C-16, but it's about racial equity, and then he talks throughout his whole video about attaching that to critical theory, whereas critical theory have nothing to do with race, and he's conflating all of these things, and he calls it postmodern, so he's doing what he usually does, which is conflate postmodernism, critical theory, critical race theory, and Marxism, and lump them all into the same massive category as if they're actually similar to each other.
What is Bill 67 anyway? What does it do?
It's a provincial bill in Ontario where I think it's being proposed. It hasn't even been accepted yet. You might know more about this than me, actually, Chris, because it's in your province. But it's supposedly going to make it the case that in school, if this passes, that is, that in schools there will be more racial equity, supposedly, like affirmative action, and maybe racial sensitivity training or something like that, which I think that is stupid, because if I understand correctly, racial sensitivity training has been shown to be scientifically to be ineffective. But the important thing is that he's acting like this is the end of the world, whereas this is a bill that's been proposed and it didn't pass yet. And it reminds me of when he was talking about Bill C-16, as you pointed out to me, and I looked into further, that that original bill, which was about basically being required to use someone's preferred gender pronouns, he was acting like that was for all Canadians, but that was actually just for Ontario professors at his university, and I think maybe other universities in Ontario, but it wasn't even in other provinces. And similarly to this is provincial so far, and it hasn't passed. Even if it does pass, that doesn't mean that it's going to go to other provinces, particularly in much more conservative-led provinces like here in Alberta or like in Newfoundland or other really conservative-led provinces. So even if it does pass, I think it's highly unlikely to become this massive federal thing that's going to like destroy Canada, as he says.
Okay,
Well, I
so he's
disagree.
kind of purporting it as a, is purporting it as if it's being passed federally. Is that what's happening?
He's not claiming that it's being passed federally, but he says that it's provincial and basically acts like it's only a matter of time before it'll become federal. But you were saying you disagree, Chris?
Yeah, and this is one of the, like, I don't agree with Jordan Peterson on everything, but this is one of the areas that I actually agree with him on. And I see it as more of not if it's going to pass, it's more of a when it's going to pass. I mean, the NDP has brought it forward and it's moved on to its second reading. So it's just a matter of time, I think, before, because you got to think Ontario is really controlled by the Toronto really rich North York people that live, that whole voting area is huge in Ontario, and it's huge. It's got a lot of sway in Ontario in general. As far as it going to other provinces concerned, Ontario is run by a conservative premier right now, and it's being brought through legislation. And with this new, I did see that NDP and Liberal kind of merger that they've done now, which pretty much puts them power until 2025. I do think that they're calling it. Sorry, okay, so Jordan Peterson is pretty much, I don't know, and it might be, this is where the stigma lies, is me calling it Canada's version of CRT, but let's just call it that for now. If you're watching, you can follow along. That version of CRT is coming, and I see it's
anti-racism. Anti-racism.
Yeah, it's not critical race theory, it's anti-racism. I pointed that out in my video too. Yeah.
But it's weird, like, if you if you're a teacher and you not want to be trained in this, well, there'll be consequences for that. And the way they go about structuring it is more what I have an issue with. If this is just like to educate youth more about, Black history or February or whatever, that's one thing. But I don't think it's that. I think it's because the NDP is our super left party here in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And that's who brought this forward, right? And BC will do it next.
And I don't like that. And I don't like that that recent deal between the Liberals and the NDP either, because like even though I've voted for both parties at least once, I really don't like that Jagmeet Singh, the leader of the NDP, came out in favor of Justin Trudeau in invoking the Emergencies Act to shut down the Freedom Convoy trucker protests against vaccine mandates.
Who's Jagmeet Singh?
He's the leader of the NDP.
He's the leader of the NDP party.
Oh, that's
so if
Jagmeet?
It's an Indian name, Jagmeet.
Oh, I thought you said Jackmeet.
No.
Yeah, I don't agree with it either, dude, but it's a really strong move. It's fucking really good for both NDP and Liberals. If you're not familiar, Dusty, what basically happened?
Yeah, I have no idea. I have no clue.
Okay. Basically, the Coles knows is the Liberals, which is Justin Trudeau's party, they're currently in power, right? But they have like a very slim minority, so they don't have much power in government. So the NDP, which is our new Democratic Party, which has a small number of seats in the House of Commons, but not a lot, but combine those two together, they have a majority. Well, they pretty much came together and sealed a majority. Basically, NDP has guaranteed Trudeau another 2 years in power, so we won't be able to vote again until 2025. And then in turn, the NDP will get their they really want socialized dentist and socialized medicine, like when it comes to prescriptions, as far like for the government paying it.
That's one thing that I actually like, that they mentioned that's one of the reasons that I actually voted for Jagmeet Singh before for universal pharmacare, because we have universal healthcare here in Canada in terms of going to the hospital and seeing the doctor and getting surgery and tests done and stuff like that, but not for prescriptions. So, I mean, I like that, but I just, I think that some of the things that they're proposing to do are good, and some of them, like the Bill 67, is probably bad. And I don't know if I like the idea of any party or coalition or anything like that having that much power. Although I know they say that they're not calling it a coalition because it's, I guess, like one step below a coalition, that their claim is what their claim is.
Yeah, they can't say come forthright and say we're combining parties together. So they're still separate, but they're pretty much combining their vote in the House, which pretty much seals them to put forward, well, Trudeau in power for the next 2 years, which is, like I said, it's a smart move, man. NDP is going broke, so that solidifies their party. Trudeau looks like a fucking dick, especially after the whole trucker convoy. And, you know, he's not polling really well and people really hate Trudeau. So it keeps him in power and the Liberals in power for another 2 years. So it's really smart move strategically. It's just the issue I have with that is not a lot of majority of Canadians voted an NDP, and now them combined are going to have, you know, this power. Plus Trudeau is like, you know, he's just doing this to save face. But I don't know. We'll see, man. I mean, like, if people that can't afford a dentist or their prescription for drugs, awesome. At the same flip side, I mean, and this is the fun of debating these things back and forth in your head, is like, we're trillions of dollars in debt. Is who's paying for this? You know, we're already taxed to the ass as it is, and it's, unfortunately, I can complain on your podcast here, but it's going to be my kids that are going to be fucking footing the bill, right? And what is that going to be?
Well, I know the way the mechanics are supposed to work is the government has more of an ability to negotiate prices down for pharmaceuticals. Like, for instance, in our country, we have the VA, and we have Medicare. And they pay way less for their drugs than private citizens do. And that's because the government has the ability to negotiate prices down. Like, they don't pay the same prices that I would have to pay for this shit. They pay the government pays way less than I do for the same drugs.
Right.
So that's kind of like what they're trying to do when they're trying to socialize it, so they can negotiate down those prices to make them affordable for everybody, at least. And when they become affordable, you're going to pay with them through your taxes, but it's supposed to be net cheaper doing it that way than to have to be foot with the bill yourself or to have it paid through private insurance.
Yeah,
that wouldn't surprise me. I mean, it would be similar. It would be similar to how, like, universal healthcare or Medicare for all, or whatever you want to call it, depending on what country it's in, is economically cheaper in the long run than like, especially the way that healthcare is done in the States, for example.
Yeah, because because this is a good experiment here. We have a lot of government assistance, at least for older folks. They get free healthcare. Very, very poor folks get free healthcare, and so do people in the armed forces. Their healthcare is socialized. So we can run those concurrent experiments here. Like, all of the health, like, veterans typically don't complain about the VA.
Right.
They get pretty damn good health care, and they don't have to pay for it. And all the prices at the VA, they negotiate down. So the VA pays way less for probably like insulin than like somebody who is paying for private insurance has to pay for.
Right.
And that's because the government has a lot of power, and they could say, hey, we have a lot of fucking VAs here that need insulin, and we're not going to pay this outrageous fucking price for it.
Right.
I'm just going to go buy our insulin from Canada. Fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So instead of doing that, they'll just lower the price, to something reasonable.
Well, that's part of why we already have cheaper prices for drugs here, even without this, because we don't have the healthcare system with the pharmaceutical companies negotiating with insurance companies and insurance companies profiting off of the price of drugs, as happens in the US.
Right. Do you guys have to deal with like commercials for pharmaceuticals in Canada?
No, the US and Australia are the only countries in the world where commercials for drugs are legal.
Yeah, so that should tell you something about our system here.
Yeah.
You got drug commercials on all the time. My favorite is because you guys don't see them, but drug commercials always have a particular fucking format. The format
I've seen them, and I bet Chris has too, because we can still watch American TV.
So you guys see the drug commercials?
Yeah, because you can watch
see 'em.
American TV channels.
Okay, so you know what we see then, like it's always slow motion, people that are happy. I don't know why it's always the same shit. It's always slow motion, people doing like regular daily tasks with smiles on their faces. And then for some reason, all shots of people's feet and they're walking. I don't know why that is, but it seems like every single drug commercial has that in it.
Yeah. Look, bro, this drug will make your life all better. It'll change your life and transform it and solve all your problems.
Yeah, but my favorite drug commercial of all time is Belsomra, and it's like it's like one of those commercials for a drug that treats insomnia, and in it is like a computerized cat and dog made out of words that says "wake and sleep."
Okay.
I'll send you guys a link of it. It's pretty goddamn ridiculous.
Okay.
Because, like, I swear half of the commercial is dedicated to listing the side effects of the drug. That's like, Jesus
I've
Christ.
seen those before.
That happens all the time too. Like halfway through the commercial, do not
Yeah,
take
but this one is
this
excessive.
antidepressant if you're depressed. It could cause you to commit suicide or have diarrhea or vomiting from the mouth or bleeding from the anus and the eyes and the ears simultaneously.
Oh, but
Yeah,
you're
I found-
saying it like really slow. You have to say it like 10 times fast. Some like, and they say it so
Yeah,
fast,
yeah.
They committed suicide and bowel deformation and all that kind of shit. And you don't even hear half the
Bowel deformation.
you don't even hear half the symptoms, or they have like the fine print, like in really small underneath the drug logo or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this Belsomra is particularly egregious. Like, there's a lot of goddamn symptoms. It's like, don't operate a car and all this other crap. I was like, man.
Then you see, you'll see two seniors.
Oh, there's no old people in this commercial. That's why I liked it a lot. No old people, but there's a weird, like, computer animated cat and dog. And it has a pretty cool, like, soundtrack.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the price we pay for you guys. I think I was reading a stat once where you guys have invented or currently have invented like 85% of the world's prescription drugs or whatever for like weird shit. And some of it has been effective and amazing. Some of it is obviously placebo and probably doesn't do
Yeah,
shit.
I'd probably
but,
say about half of that is no better than the generic version of the drug that treats the same shit.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, we get
But it's
the
not like-
generic stuff here in Canada. It seems to work pretty well for the most part, but I haven't compared them.
Yeah, like the newfangled drugs that they have, most of them have all these new side effects. Because old drugs have a lot of studies, and we know what they do and what they can do as far as negatively. Like this new shit that they're coming out with all the time. You don't know if this is going to give you some type of weird complication because this is new and it's not well studied. I know there was like a Alzheimer's drug that went on the market, and then it was like complete bullshit. People found out it was complete bullshit, and then it got taken off the market. But this is shit that gets approved by the FDA. You know, this is stuff that's supposed to do something, but this tells you how inadequate the FDA is.
And the pharmaceutical companies can do studies and keep doing them until they find the desired effect from a drug, so it can justify them selling it.
Yeah, a lot of that happened with the opiates. Like they kept doing things until they got the desired effect, you know, without all the negatives that came with it.
Yeah.
But it's not like the negatives disappeared. They just picked the data set that was favorable to them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks, man. All these crazy drugs. There's just so many people have to take these goddamn things. I'm just like lamenting when I get to like, 70 and have to take like 20 pills a day.
Yeah.
If I get to 70. Cross my fingers.
Maybe at that point you'll just take one and they'll do everything for you.
One super pill, like a big ass like pill that's like as big as a piece of street chalk.
That's one of the reasons why I work out so much and try to follow a healthy diet, so I can be less likely to have to take 100 pills and feel like shit when I get older.
That's a good outlook.
Yeah.
I wish I had, like, if I was single and didn't have kids, that would be pretty easy for me to do. Just like, man, once you're a dad and you have all these goddamn responsibilities, like it becomes hard.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, it's hard to find time to exercise and work out for sure. Although I find it easier than diet, man. Honestly, our fucking society and our culture is so engulfed in just junk food everywhere I look. It's so hard to eat healthy these days, and to eat healthy cheap, man. It's it's really hard to stay out of the middle aisle of the grocery store.
Mm-hmm. Vegetables
Well, it's
and fruit are
it's
super
easy to eat healthy
expensive.
cheap. It just takes time to do it.
Yeah, that's it,
Like,
and that's what I don't
You
have time
can-
for. I'd rather exercise than make meals for myself. I'd rather order out salads. than
Yeah.
fucking-
And you can get
Yeah.
some healthy foods that are cheaper, but most of them do cost more too. Like an example is organ meat, like hearts and liver. I eat those a lot, and those are super cheap because no one wants to eat them.
You like eating hearts and liver?
Yeah, I put a bunch of spices and hot sauce on them anyway, so I don't mind. I actually kind of like hearts. But I don't taste that. I don't get that aftertaste from liver that people don't like usually because I put so many spices and hot sauce and stuff like that on them.
Yeah, I occasionally eat organ meat, but not very often. How the hell do you get your hands on some hearts, and how do you prepare it?
You just buy them at the grocery store and then cook them.
No, I can't find any goddamn hearts at my grocery stores.
Oh, really?
No,
I can
don't think
I can
hearts
always
are things
find.
they sell here.
Oh, that's interesting. I always can find chicken hearts. You can buy just like like one of those things that you buy of frozen meat. It's a similar thing of that, of a whole bunch of chicken hearts, and then you can buy chicken livers too. So it's just like a big pack of them.
I'd probably have to go to like some specialty grocery store to get something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if I went into like a Safeway or an Albertsons, I wouldn't be able to find chicken hearts and I think I'd be able to find liver, but not chicken hearts. I don't even think I'd be able to find chicken livers in there.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's interesting.
I don't eat chicken hearts or liver, so I would have no idea where to even look for that.
The only place I'm able to get chicken liver is at this Japanese place that serves them as appetizers.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Like, it seems like usually, I mean, the times that I've been to the US anyway, it seems like you guys have more food options in grocery stores than we seem to have here. I wonder, I mean, I don't know how it is where you are, Chris, because like you mentioned, you don't eat organ meat, but I wonder if that's an Alberta thing or a Canada thing. I wonder about that.
I could probably go to an Asian grocery store and find more weird stuff in there like that, but I wouldn't be able to find it in a regular, like, big box chain grocery store. Like, I bet if I went to the Asian store, I could find like chicken feet and weird stuff like that there, but not at like a Safeway or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're pretty multicultural city with various foods from Eastern cuisine and that kind of stuff. I'm sure if I did a quick deep dive, I'd be able to find hearts of some kind. It's not what I usually look for at the grocery store. So yeah.
And the hearts you eat are from chicken?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
organ meat like chicken and liver have way more vitamins than other kinds of meat too. That's why they're so healthy.
What about beef? I've had beef liver.
Yeah, beef liver, any kind of liver really. You should see I had a cow heart once, and in comparison to the chicken hearts, they dwarf them in size. I usually have the chicken hearts.
Well, the only time I've had beef heart is when it was like we got bargain basement like beef patties, and usually they'll mix ground beef with like ground beef heart in there to make it cheaper.
Oh, okay.
But I haven't bought those in ages because I'd rather just eat regular ground beef.
Yeah.
Oh, you found the meme? Biomales, women's sports. Really?
That's a good one.
Oh, that's funny. Oh man, they're rolling in.
Yeah, there are gonna be tons of good memes.
The slap.
The slap heard round the world, seen round the world.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else you guys wanted to talk about, or any juicy political topics or anything else that we talked about?
Yeah, not that I could think of. I'm looking at Know Your Meme for what's this kind of like the meme central place.
Right.
But yeah,
there's
they're
another
keeping
one.
track of the spread of it.
Slap. I can't read the smaller print there.
Yeah, I can read it.
Slap. What's that? You're muted, Chris. What's that say?
sorry.
What's that say in the
Like done
smaller print?
It's like coming to Thursday every NBC. It's like done in like movie or TV.
I got one for you guys. Look at this.
Everybody hates
That's
Chris.
cool.
That's a funny one.
That's Minecraft. I don't know why they did that. Oh, they did one with the cartoon. That's Arthur.
Oh, what's that caption say, Chris?
For the Arthur?
I am very sorry.
I am very
Oh,
sorry.
like I am legend.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Oh man, that's funny.
And this is just tonight, man. Give it a week or even like 48 hours.
Oh yeah, there will be thousands of memes.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Thanks for talking, guys, about these fun and ridiculous and hilarious, but also some of them extremely serious and concerning political topics. And yeah, next time we all talk, hopefully the three of us can also talk with Shizan and do another movie chat. I wanted to, like I was saying, I wanted to talk about the first Matrix movie with you guys next time, if that sounds cool. And yeah, check out hopefully next weekend, Dusty and Parker and I can talk about that Neil Gaiman book, Norse Mythology, which of course is based on the Norse legends. And Neil Gaiman is really good at writing stories about mythology, so he does a good job in that one too, of course. And yeah, check out the video that Dusty mentioned earlier, the last one I did about criticizing Jordan Peterson's tweets on ivermectin and his thoughts on Bill 67 and talking about critical race theory, postmodernism, and Marxism, and along with the differences between those that he doesn't mention. And yeah, click that like button, share this video everywhere, subscribe to the channel, click the bell to be notified when I come out with new videos. Check out that Norse mythology chat next weekend. I think hopefully this upcoming week I should be doing that chat with Ben Burgess. We're going to talk about the anti-capitalist history of anarchism, the tautologies in Austrian economics, and Alexander Dugin's philosophy and his influence on Putin. So check that out. And check out my Patreon page. The link is in the description of the video as usual. And like I always say, I love you all. Keep being the tiny beam of light that shines through the almost impenetrable darkness in the universe. And most importantly, always remember this: the funk cures all, and groove is in the heart. And the slap heard round the world is hilarious. Look forward to those hilarious memes. Concerning that the Hunter Biden laptop evidence was confirmed real, and hopefully the worst case scenario is not true and he was not involved with any child pornography or pedophilia or any shit like that. And hopefully this Russia-Ukraine war will not escalate to fucking all-out war in World War III, and there will be some sort of peace deal reached. Hopefully that's the best case scenario. So yeah. And anything else? Oh yeah, also I forgot, check out on Dusty's channel yesterday, Woke Centrist. I missed it, but he talked with Tristram about chapters 11 to 22 of is it Winter's Heart?
Yes, Winter's
Heart.
Yeah,
book 9 of Wheel of Time. And I guess we'll probably talk on your channel next weekend too as well, right, Dusty? What are we going to talk about on your channel next week?
I'm not sure yet. So
Okay.
we could either do a movie, or we could try to sneak in some more sort of truth.
Oh yeah, it's up to you. I think I could probably read one of the Sort of Truth books before next weekend. Yeah, I could do that if you want, or let me know if you want to watch a movie too.
Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and do the next Sort of Truth.
Okay. And
unless you want to talk about Halo. Have you seen the new Halo show, any of you guys?
No, I haven't. I saw that you said that in our book chats group with Tristram, but I forgot to comment on it.
Oh, it's really good. I was like not expecting how good it actually is. If I can find it somewhere.
Show, where did you watch it? What did you watch it on?
Oh, I have Paramount Plus. I'm not sure if you could find it like outside of that. You might be able to. Well, I'm sure Chris could find it somewhere. He's like the expert of finding shit that's pirated.
Well, maybe we could talk about.
I'm sure it's torrented.
Well, I'll try to read that book just in case, and maybe I'll try to also see if I can watch the Halo show too.
Yeah. So if you want to talk about the Halo show, and the first Halo book, if you want, because I'm reading the first Halo book. Kind of sparked my interest in the Halo series. I was like, oh, let me check out.
Which one would you prefer? Because I actually have a few of the Halo books because I read some of them when I was a teenager.
Well, I'm reading right now The Fall of Reach, which is the first Halo book.
Okay, yeah, I have that one. Do you want to talk about that then?
Yeah, if you can watch the show too, and we can kind of integrate them both, that would be great.
Sure. Yeah, I'll see if I can.
Have any guys seen the new Jackass movie? Is that any good?
No, I haven't.
Oh no, I haven't seen it yet. No.
I bet it's good. The other ones were.
It's out. When did it come out?
I think it came out last week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, anyway.
No, I haven't watched it yet.
All right. Anything else you want to say or plug or anything there before we end it, Chris?
No, I'm good.
All right.
Slap on.
Slap on. All right. Yeah, thanks for suggesting that topic. I'm sure it'll be popular. Yeah. All right,
man,
thanks.
this is such a dumb freaking meme. I gotta show you. There's a bunch here, but look at this one. Hard to aim this shit. Hold on.
Rotate it. Which
there
one?
You go. The one right smack in the middle.
Oh, you're Adolf.
Do you get it though?
Oh, no, wait, no, I don't get it.
Hitler.
Oh, okay.
It's such a dumb meme.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's really dumb. All right. All right, guys. Always fun to talk. And thanks again, everyone, for watching. And adios until next time.